And look at that. Not even 5 minutes and AK's back on another damn stream.
You're doing a double duty today, AK.
Triple. I did the unboxing first.
Oh, I saw that. I was recording for the movie podcast I'm on during that. And I saw this boxing thing. There's something about boxing. I was like, dang it, I'm talking about Pirates of the Caribbean. I can't see that right now. But no, I was able to. I teach, but right now it's kind of a come and go thing. And so as long as students don't show up on the Zoom, I just sit there by myself. So after a while, I was like, I bet I could just turn on AK's Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Nobody's gonna know.
No one's gonna know. And no one came on. Like, no students came on. So I had a beautiful 45 minutes of sitting there teaching, but really was watching your stream.
Awesome. I think that's a win-win.
But yeah, dear watchers, please do check out her great Falcon and the Winter Soldier discussion with that was with Lauren and
that was me, Lauren, and Manic Meeks. Lauren had to bow out because it is very late in Scotland right now, and she had to go to sleep.
Time zones.
Yeah, time zones do not give a damn about our streams.
They don't care.
They really don't. So yeah, Lauren had to bow out, but me and Meeks finished out the last couple episodes, and yeah, I think it was a very great discussion that we had, and I highly encourage you guys going to watch that, please. But we are here to chat about some kung fu, and I didn't know what the exact premise of this show was going to be. I just know that when I was a kid in the 90s, there's this awesome show called Kung Fu: The Legend Continues, starring David Carradine. And it was like all of the awesome. I'm sure if I watched it now, it's probably gonna not age well on some episodes. Yeah. But the basic premise of the show, what was really cool, and David Carradine was a good actor. I really appreciated watching that.
Yeah, so I heard that it was a remake, but I have not seen the original, so I am only coming at this with, original. You know, with these 3 episodes and my knowledge of China. So.
And that is one of the reasons why I tapped you when I first saw this trailer. I was like, oh, this looks like it's going to be kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to want to talk to somebody about this. Amy. and I told her, I was like, hey, Amy, she's the first person that I know, Lady Leaf, I know. Like, what am I doing on this channel? Why? Because I always say, you're not going to find me that much on my channel. If you want to find me, follow my friends and sub to them, because those are the channels I'll be on. Yeah. So every now and then I'm here.
Every now and then she does 3 things in one day, and we're all grateful for it.
Right. And actually, I remember it was Lady Leaf that put in one of the chats that we were doing on Here Be Dragons on Steven's channel. And she said, if I can get the words right, it was like, you know, the place where you won't find Alicia, or like the least likely place that you'll find Alicia is on her own channel.
Yeah.
But now here I am. Yeah, 3 streams in a row. Go figure. Pater, what is going on, my guy?
Hey, Potter. Good to see you.
And no, this is not about David Carradine. And I know I didn't even need to say that, because Pater's a troll.
He's a troll. He is our resident Irish troll.
See, and that's the good thing, though. You know, he's only going to come in and troll if he likes you. So that's how I know he likes me. So I'm good. I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's how he shows affection.
Absolutely. So yes, we are here to talk about this new show, Kung Fu. It is on the CW. And Amy, you have the actor names. Thank you, because I did not remember to get the actor names.
Yeah,
the only actor that I remembered is Zima, and that's because he's like in everything. And at this level in his career, he's the Chinese dad. He's basically the old
Chinese dad. That's Zima. Like, that's who you saw in that one show or one movie.
And as soon as you see his face, you might not remember his name, but as soon as you see his face, you know him.
Yeah, so we have the Nikki Shun, who is the main character who's doing all the kung fu. That's done by Olivia Liang. She's also a really fun follow on Twitter if you want to check that out. She's really also a very good activist for anti-Asian hate, which is especially important right now. So Olivia Liang doing the work of the Buddha over there. And then we have, so the mom, so we have the dad played by Zima. And then the mom, who is named Mei Li, her name is Kung Hua Tan. So you're probably really glad that I'm the one doing this, AK.
That is another reason why I tapped Aemy, because she has this knowledge and knows how to pronounce these names.
And so, so she is the mom of the 3 kids. And so then you have these Nikki's 2 brother and sister. So there's Althea, who's really, really pretty. They're all
really
pretty.
Surprising
Everyone's pretty
on every level of her character.
But Althea really surprised me. I thought she was just going to be a glam girl who's engaged and doing all the things the mom wants.
I said the same thing.
But then she is like, "Oh, I'm a hacking expert."
She started talking, and then she started talking.
Yes, and at the end,
there are layers. Oh my God,
she's gone through some shit, and I can't wait.
We're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about that.
She's played by Shannon Dang, Dang, and then and then Nikki's brother is Ryan. Shun is played by a guy named John Presida, which not sure about the last name.
In anything?
Never. It's not even highlighted on Wikipedia. So this is his breakout role.
He's fresh out the gate. Nice.
Yeah, he's fresh out of there. So and then we have Evan, who was her white ex, who's played by Gavin Stenhouse. And then we have her Sherfu, which means mentor, teacher, master, played by Vanessa Kai, and her name in there is Pei-Ling, and you get a lot of flashbacks and a lot of like ghostly renditions, which I thought awkward at first, and it grew on me. I'm
mad that we didn't get more of her before.
Yes.
She died.
I hope we get more flashbacks or something, but you're right.
Yeah, I hope they keep up that spiritual connection.
Yeah. And then we have Dennis, who is the fiance of Althea, and that's played by Tony Chung. Once again, does not have a Wikipedia page, fresh out of the gate there. And then we have some reoccurring actors, including Yvonne Chapman, who plays Zhilan, and who has the best Chinese in the series so far. Her Chinese is really good, and she has this beautiful British accent, so she might be from Singapore. I'm not sure. Anyway,
is that how do you pronounce her name? Is it Zhilan?
Zhilan. Yeah.
Zhilan. Okay. They pronounce it slightly different on the show.
I have a lot to say about mispronunciations, because you need to pick one and stick with it for an American audience. Do not have multiple pronunciations. Even if it's the wrong one, stick with it. Oh, and then of course there's also the love interest who her ex is a little bit suspicious of. Might be shady. Henry Yin. And he's played by Eddie Leo, and he is actually the worst when it comes to pronunciation. I will get to it. He calls it the Tang Dynasty. Anytime you see A-N-G in Chinese, dear listeners and watchers, it's Ong. It is never Ang. It's always Ong. So it's the Tang Dynasty.
We know that he didn't grow up.
And then we have Joe, who is the boyfriend of her brother, because luckily we have one gay person in this show. And Joe is hot and seems really nice, and he's an activist.
It's when we find out that her brother is gay. That was the moment where I really started to love him.
I did too, and I was like, okay, because otherwise he's just a doctor wanting to be, who's
kind of being a dick,
who's kind of mad at his sister, which I get. But I was like, there's something more there. Turns out it's because she was his ally.
He literally said, "You left me without an ally.
Yeah,
you were the only one that knew everything, and you left me here alone." And that's her little brother.
Yeah.
So,
but Bradley Gibson is the one who plays his boyfriend. So we've got.
He's a little handsome bit of chocolate there.
He is a tall drink of water, and I'm here for it.
Oh my goodness! Look at y'all. Go, please.
I know. When she came in, and she was like, "Why are you here alone?" And then all of a sudden, this sexy guy with 2 drinks comes. She's like,
with 2 drinks, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Yeah, she apologizes right away. She's like, "I'm so sorry."
I would apologize too, man. That was a nice date.
Being petty, but you're on a date. My bad. I'm gonna go exit stage left now. Y'all continue.
But yeah, so that's the cast we have. It's an extremely diverse Asian American cast, which is really good to see.
It is. It is.
And also, I will talk about this a little bit later, but Professor Chow is played by a Vancouver Canadian Chinese actor. Chinese-Canadian actor. Anyway, he mostly does stuff out of British Columbia, and it's not interesting to see him in an American film. But the CW does a lot of shooting in Canada. Supernatural is done in the Ontario area, and it's over now. But all of the CW superhero shows are done in Vancouver. I actually saw them when I was in Vancouver 2 years ago, shooting a scene of The Flash, and I was like, "Ah!" I freaked out. I did, because that's the thing. Another reason it's good to have me on here, AK, is I stan the CW. If it's on the CW, I will watch it.
CW is basically like what is the channel name in Canada? I think it's like Showcase or something in Canada. It's the channel that damn it, what is the name of that show? Lost Girl. I don't know if you ever watched that, but it's the channel in Canada that Lost Girl aired on. Like in America, I believe it came, Lost Girl was on Sci-Fi, but they were on Showcase. And that's basically where like all of the Canadian shows that came to America were also aired.
Ah, okay.
And yeah, they do a lot of those. 21 Jump Street actually was also filmed a lot in Canada, in Vancouver, I believe.
Yeah, it's much cheaper than a lot of, and in America also you have this issue of like, I love Atlanta, hot Atlanta, if you will. But you know, because of this, what's going on with Georgia, a lot of people, you know, you want to support Atlanta, but at the same time, you know, it's tough with the kind of questions of, you know, civil rights and voting rights in the state of Georgia, and you don't have that as much.
They don't have those issues in Canada.
Yeah,
you're right. Has everyone ever told you to watch Lost Girl?
Yeah, that's a joke because Lady Leaf Underhill has told me 50 million times. She will say it's 3, but it's more than 3.
You still haven't watched.
I know. I need to watch it.
And Lauren are everything.
I'm watching it. I'm gonna watch it. I promise.
You know what? Okay, last little tidbit that I will say about Lost Girl is I know a lot of people didn't like Lauren because I watched it with a lot of straight folks that were all for Dyson. Dyson's character is problematic on many levels, but I also find that he's just not a very good actor. He's been in some things. He's actually in The Expanse. He had a small role in The Expanse and he was killed. He had a small role in one of the Underworld movies and he was killed. So
that's just like me in Titans on HBO Max. The guy who plays Robin is really hot, but he cannot act his way out of a paper bag. But I still watch it.
Which Robin?
He plays Dick Grayson. And, like Teen Titans Robin.
I liked him in Pirates of the Caribbean, but he does have a bit more growth to do. You're right. I actually just got done binging Titans 2 days ago.
Ooh, I would love to talk about it because I grew up watching Teen Titans and I love it. And I really have a lot to say about Starfire. Girl can get it. Just saying.
You want to talk about how much she can get it. You heard everything I said about Wakanda and the Dora Milaje.
Oh yeah, this is actually
the same
stream as the last stream as far as thirsting. It's gonna continue. Don't worry.
That goes double for Starfire, and that's all I'll say. When you are ready to talk, you let me know and we will set the stream.
Let's do it. I would love to talk about Titans. That's all you got to say. What's funny is I was watching it and my partner was like, "Oh, you have fun with that or whatever." He's not really a DC fan. He is, but mostly just Superman. But then, you know, it had Superboy in it, so I got him to watch that. But but eventually he started sitting next to me and he was just like captivated by Titans. And I was like, I told you, like,
it was a good show.
There's something about that show. Like, there are things that I don't like about it, but like the overall, like, I like
overall, the arc is, I did not like what they did with Donna Troy.
Yeah.
I'll say I liked everything up until the end of her character. I'll say that. I liked everything up to that. I think she should have been able to survive that very easily. But
she's half, isn't she? She's half.
She's from Themyscira.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, she's basically baby Wonder Woman. That's why she was Wonder Girl. I don't know why they thought that is what would kill her.
We have lots of Titans takes, so we'll have to do a stream on that.
We'll save that for the stream for sure. Put it on the list. You're the list keeper.
I am the list keeper.
So I'm putting it on you. Put it on the list.
So scheduling.
Scheduling. AK, Lost Girl, and Titans.
Potter, that's hilarious. Yeah, there's so much filming goes on in Vancouver.
There's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it's huge for the show and movie industry. Chicago too, though, like Batwoman, the CW show Batwoman is shot here in Chicago. And they're talking about
I will give thirst for Ruby Rose as well.
Sorry, what?
I said I will give thirst for Ruby Rose as well. She's sexy.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't watch all the episodes of that show. That's just because I didn't have time to do it. But she looked good in the scenes that I saw. That's all I'll say. But anyway, back to the show we're actually here to talk about. Again, y'all know I go in tangents, so you know
that's my style too. So
you should be used to this. Okay, so the first tidbit that I will bring up in episode 1 here is it basically starts off with kind of an escape plan, because Nikki, who is the star of our show, you know, her mom wants her to basically have the traditional Chinese life of, while it wasn't a great example, the steps taken in Mulan is basically the script for a young Chinese woman going up. You know, you get your lessons on how to give a nice tea ceremony, and you are expected to, you know, meet some young men that may be friends or sons of your mom's friends, and they have to have, you know, very good jobs and be, you know, some type of uplifting, prolific in the community, as it were. And you are, damn it, Pater, we just got back on topic. But we see Nikki being
kind of. So there are two types. There's one where
Nikki's not here for it.
Have
Go ahead.
A matchmaker where you're actually the whole family goes, which was an improvement on the live action Mulan, one of the few from the animated, which is that Mulan would not have gone by herself. She would have gone with her mother and really her whole family. And so there's that. But then there's also the more modern speed dating, which is what she was going to basically be you know, subjected to. What's interesting though, and I will say this, it's a very small thing, but she would have gone to like Beijing or Shanghai. She wouldn't have gone to Yunnan, but I get it. She has to go to the Shaolin Temple, but like her mom would have sent her to a big city to find a guy, and Yunnan is a lesser populated of the provinces, but that's a small thing. That's where the Shaolin Temple is, and the plot necessitates.
I thought she only ended up there because of the truck that she chose to hide in. Like that's where Mei Ling, I believe, was going from. Where, like, I thought that she was trading within whatever village that she was in, and then they went over to where the Shaolin Temple was.
Yeah, but it was still like in this province of Yunnan province, which is right above. Okay. It's just north of Vietnam. In fact, there are a lot of people in Yunnan who speak Vietnamese. So I just found it's such a small thing. Literally no one but me is going to even notice or care. But it's just, what I do like about that is that you had this, automatically we see Nikki as someone who is at odds with her mom particularly, and who doesn't want what her mom is. Not even just
her mom, but with her culture.
Yeah.
Period. And no, that's maybe the wrong way to put it. With the traditionalism of her culture.
Yeah, because we see her obviously when she gets back to San Francisco, she's at the cultural center, she speaks Chinese, she knows Kung Fu, like obviously she is connected with her culture, and she reads Chinese, which is a big, is actually can be an important plot point, because she has to do a lot of research with Henry, so. My favorite part are the research parts. I know I'm such a Chinese grad student, meaning a grad student learning Chinese, not actually ethnically Chinese, but like the research parts where they're like going through these big
I thought those were super informative. Like all of the research parts were informative.
Yeah, I think those are probably one of my favorite like scenes, are the ones where Henry's like, I found in this ancient text.
I found this thing. Did he really find it though? Yeah, we'll get to that. But there's the speed dating thing that happens.
Yeah.
Nikki doesn't even sit down at the table. As soon as she walks in the door, she sees what it is.
And she's like,
out.
Nope. She does the gif where she puts her hat and then grabs her hat and walks away.
And she ends up laying in the back of this truck. And we see someone come up and put something in the back. And the lady's looking at her like, little girl. And Nikki's like, please, I need to escape. I cannot do what they're asking me to do. Please don't rat me out. And she's like, you know what?
And you can tell that
you need to find your own path.
And we learn later that, Pei-Ling herself is someone who had to find her own path as well. So, she's feeling
that is a journey. That is a journey I would like to see. Hopefully they do that in the flashback spirit conversations that they have. Yeah. Because she has a very interesting backstory that they barely scratched the surface on. But they get, Mei Ling doesn't rat her out. She gets in there, all right, you need to find your own path. I might be able to help you do that. And the truck drives away, and we end up at this Shaolin center. And Nikki did not plan to stay. She was going to hang out for a couple hours, maybe read a couple books, then go back to where she was supposed to be. and she saw some women training in Kung Fu, and she automatically fell in love with the form. And that's when she started her training. And I think it was, 3 years?
Yes, 3 years.
And
it's of note that she is, there is the sisterhood, right? It's an all-female.
The togetherness that they have there.
Yeah, and it also, what I like most about what I've seen so far is that Pei-Ling says her master, her Shifu, her teacher, says a lot about the mind, because Kung Fu is not just about the body.
No, it's very
about
much a
the
state
mind.
of mind.
And she has, there's this one particular line that comes into play of, right action cannot come from fear. Right action is actually one of the 8-fold path, which are some Buddhist tenets. And you have, they're right speech, right view, right livelihood, right? So like you could make that to mean many things, like right livelihood. Like I feel like as a Buddhist, I can't work for the oil industry because I'm hurting people by my work, by my livelihood, how I make money, right? So these kinds of things. Well, there's right action, right? So what you do is within accordance with
and also the other part of what she was saying is you can't make the right action when you're coming from a place of fear.
Exactly.
So again, fear is the mind killer. Remember that.
Yes, and a lot about meditating is about calming the mind and taming fear, not ignoring it, but taming it, right? It's like, you can only be brave if you're afraid from Game of Thrones, right? So it's not that fear is bad, it's that it must be conquered, it must be tamed. And so that kind of idea of the mind is very important to Kung Fu. And a lot of people don't know this, but Kung Fu, like directly translated, Gong Fu, means to perfect something. So you could have Kung Fu at tea. You could be so good at tea ceremonies that you have Gong Fu in tea. So it doesn't mean like punch and kick. Like that's not what it means.
No,
it means that they have perfected mind and body together, which is what I love about her Shifu, her mentor.
She's very good at giving those lessons.
Very much, embodying those kinds of calm. And of course, we find out later she also has a complicated family, so she's had to calm her mind for sure.
And that is one of the things that's one of the first things we learn about Mei-Ling is that she has a complicated family, and Nikki gives her whole long sob story, and her Shifu understands. She totally understands, but she's like, "Do you think you are the only one with a complicated family?" And we're like, okay, well, maybe she's counseled some other girls as she's heard some stories. No, she very much comes from a very complicated family. I'll save that tidbit for when it really matters, though. So there's a fight that breaks out at the temple, and this is after some years, and Nikki has been getting trained, and you can tell she's one of the best because of the amount of time that they show her teacher spending with her. Yeah. And I think that's something significant. And it didn't even pop out to me until I think it was episode 3 when they were going through the puzzle boxes. And Henry said, I got past this first bit, but there's this other part, and I've tried so many different things. And Nikki looks at it. She's like, huh. We get a flashback of her having to go through and do a larger form of this puzzle. And I'm like, oh, that's when it clicked. She was totally grooming her to be a freaking protector.
Yep, she was grooming her. Yeah, she was more of her apprentice than the other girls, you can tell. And she wouldn't have done that in front of her if it wasn't going to be significant later. A lot of this is a huge Kung Fu movie trope of the student being taught and knowing that, like, being taught a lesson that they don't understand, and it only becomes important later. Think Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. That's what I'm saying. He thought he was doing chores, but no. A lot of people think that was, like, just that movie. That's a very common trope that goes back, many years of Kung Fu movies, Kung Fu tales, Kung Fu, fiction, of you don't understand the real impact your Shifu had on you until you don't have them anymore. For whatever reason, because you leave or because they die or whatever.
Or something. I mean, and Nikki brings that up, like in one of their spiritual talks that they're having. Nikki says, "You left me too soon." And but she didn't exactly leave you. She was taken from you. There's a big difference there. Yeah. She had a whole lot that she still wanted to teach you. There's a reason why during this fight, the Shifu ends up being killed. And the person that kills her steals a sacred sword that was hidden in one of the altars. And Nikki tries to fight her. She gets knocked down, but she gets back up after her Shifu dies. And before she died, though, when she first got stabbed, she said, you cannot pick up that sword. It's not for you. Talking to the person that actually killed her. Lady runs off. She sees Mylan can't be saved, and Nikki was in her rage. This wasn't her going to honor anything. This was just her straight up mad. You killed my mom, basically, and now I have to kill you. So again, you cannot make the right decisions when you're going in fear. Nikki's afraid now because she feels like she's alone. She hasn't processed it like that yet, but that is exactly what was happening. So when she goes into this fight, she holds her own for a little bit, and she even gets the upper hand. Like, she disarms this woman and she picks up the sword. The sword, then, though, this is where the lore comes in.
Yeah.
It seems to burn her hand. And the person that she's fighting takes it as, that sword is too powerful for you. I don't think that's it.
I don't think that's it.
I think it was marking her as its next
as a sword bearer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is because she gets this mark on her hand.
It's like runes.
Yeah, it actually paused at that time. Basically, what it is an old type of Chinese writing that would have been more about, let's say 1300 BCE or so, AK. Just a while ago.
Way back.
Yeah, it's from about the Shang Dynasty, somewhere around there. So maybe a little bit before then. But so it's like older writing. And so a Chinese person would be able to maybe understand like 2 out of every 5 characters. But you really need someone who is like a seal script. It's called the, not the seal script, pardon me, the bronze script, because it was all that we have left of it is inscriptions in bronze vessels. And that's why it's called bronze script. And you really would need like someone like, I have a couple of professors who can actually read that, but you need to be specially trained. Which is why at first it seems insignificant, but it says something important. I don't know what it is. It says a
lot of very important things. Yeah, we don't know what it says exactly yet.
Yeah,
but we know that it is significant. It's not just a burn scar. And when the lady picked it up, nothing happened. She was able to just hold it. And what we do find out later is there is a connection, and there's a reason that she even knew about the sword. Yes. But that's not quite relevant yet, and I don't want to spoil that.
Yeah, but I do want to say, though, just one thing about the sword glowing. I saw that, Jurlan interpreted it as, it's for me, and it's not for you, it's too powerful. Yeah. I interpreted it also as she made the sword come alive, so the sword recognized something in Nikki that it did not recognize in Jurlan. So, there's definitely something going on there.
That's the exact thought I had. Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree.
But of course, Jurlan is going to interpret it as, I'm awesome and you suck. Because she's the bad guy.
Thank you, Pater. I do appreciate that. Yeah. We'll talk about David Carradine next time. So after,
but she ends up getting stabbed by Jurlan too. So she has this reminder.
Not necessarily stabbed. She gets swiped. Yeah, she gets cut.
Yeah. And, so she has this constant reminder of what she feels is her failure to protect, the Shaolin monastery.
That's how she interprets it. I think it's going to mean a little bit more, especially in the way that it seems to be healing. Yeah. I think there's something significant there that we haven't been shown yet.
Definitely.
But she ends up going in. There are other survivors of the fight. The whole complex was attacked, and parts of it were set on fire. But there were other women that survived, and the fire was eventually put out. But Nikki decides to go home because without her Shifu there, she doesn't have the purpose that she felt there anymore. And quite honestly, I think that was the right call, because not only is her teacher not there, but the reason that she was supposed to be there isn't there anymore. The sword is gone. Yeah. So she needs to go and find it. She doesn't know that's what it is yet, but that's what it's going to end up being. And she ends up getting home. And this is why I said in the last stream when we were talking about parents and not talking to each other, when I said, if you think Black families have issues talking about problems, you do not have any Chinese friends, because holy fuck, they are extra. Yeah. And I mean that with all respect. Like any Asian kid will back me up on that, because whew, boy, the things that happen, like it's so much when you look at it and you see the steps that it went through. Her parents could have absolutely asked for the help they needed. And their children are not slackers. Their kids are successful in their vocational fields. So they could have gotten whatever they needed to keep their business running and not be indebted to this loan shark that's taken over the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out like that.
And there is an idea in China of filial piety, which is reverence for your parents, and you obey your parents, which is why the parents expect this of their children. But they're Chinese American; they're not Chinese. It's not the same.
Exactly.
And also, on top of that, that means you don't need your kids; they need you. So if you need help, you don't go to your children. So it's a pride thing, very much on the parents.
You don't go to your children, and unless your spouse already knows about it, you don't even go to your spouse.
Yeah.
And that is what I think was even more harmful than not talking to their kids, because
the mom had that really good point where she said, I was trying to protect your father and he was trying to protect me. And I was like,
and you were trying to protect each other, and that's great. That's what you're supposed to do.
But you ended up hurting each other.
But if you would have talked, you would have seen that the way you guys were moving about it was not the right way to do it. And it's heartfelt, because when we first see Nikki's dad, he has a black eye. You can tell something happened, and he says, "Oh, I bumped into a wall or whatever, something. He fell or something." And the kids are so conditioned. Her little brother and sister, they take that excuse and they're like, "Okay, it wasn't nothing going on."
Yeah,
they didn't expect to hear what it was. It took Nikki coming in like, no. What happened?
I think that's
to you?
The interesting part about Nikki is that, so this is in San Francisco. So the kids have been, for 3 years, they've been the ones kind of there for the parents and having to deal with the family drama. And so when Nikki comes back, she has a fresh way of looking at it, and she sees these things. And she's not entrenched in this 3-year kind of idea of what's going on.
And she was, I don't think she was ever really entrenched in it. That's why, while she was, as the siblings say, while she was the golden child, she still had no qualms about speaking up when she was not comfortable with something.
Yeah.
Or when she didn't want to do something.
Absolutely. And I also think another thing about it too is that you have this, she's really a leader. And so you have her coming back and leading the family. And her and the dad seriously gets me, because my dad is the same way about me. Like, I can do no wrong. And like, he, if I went away for 3 years and didn't talk to him and came back, he would forgive me so much quicker than my mom.
It wouldn't even be a conversation.
It wouldn't even be a thing.
It would not even be a conversation.
And that is just one of the sweetest things. Like, when he has the Japanese would be Go, the game Go, Chinese would be Weiqi, where you have the black and the white stones.
Yeah, I didn't know what that game was called. I've seen it. I've never been able to play it or learn it. It's a game of surrounding. So you're trying to surround other stones, capture their stones, and create your own territory. It's a war game. It's older than Western chess. It's actually probably one of the oldest board games in the world. I think the only older one is a board game out of Africa. But other than that, it's considered one of the older board games. And I believe Egypt specifically, but don't quote me on that. I don't remember what the name of that game is, but I recall hearing about that.
Yeah, but
so
that
I do believe you're
the
correct when you
oldest,
say
and
Egypt.
then Weiqi or Go is the second oldest game. And so, and I think, AK, one of the things I really love about the show is how they capture Chinatown in San Francisco, and also the Chinese Community Center in San Francisco, which I have been to.
I love that they show the one,
because there are more than one. But it's like the center of the show for so far, in my opinion. That's where she goes to ask Henry to do research. That's where she goes that's where she meets a lot of people that she ends up helping, like the girl that works in the factory.
That's where she goes to refine her balance.
And that's where her
that's where her brother works.
As a doctor.
I don't think a volunteer doctor, right? He's working at the hospital, but he spends a lot of time working for free, helping his community at that center. It's very respectable.
It's really, very impressive. And also, I think they've spent a lot of time on the backdrops, so it's very small details, like whenever she goes in and they're finishing up a class, behind him is a board where they're teaching Cantonese. So it's like teaching Mandarin speakers how to speak Cantonese so they can talk to their grandkids.
So you can fully actually be in the neighborhood. Like, they make sure none of their people are isolated. Like, they legit want to bring everybody in and have that sense of community. And it's really refreshing to see, because that's something a lot of shows forget.
To America, came to San Francisco to build the railroad, spoke Cantonese, and they were mostly men. And if it were women, you know, I don't mean to say unfortunately, because sex work is work, but they were mostly sex workers if they were women there. So that's how a lot of Chinese women in San Francisco actually got a bad rep. They were seen as
tidbit.
Yes.
Freaking Watch Warrior on HBO Max.
Oh, y'all, I have it on my to watch list. If you want
to see, so, and it's actually in the era that you were just talking about with the railroads. It's, oh my God, it is freaking phenomenal.
I just saw a preview for it, and I was like, that's on my list. So
they are everything that you just talked about. That is the era that they are in, and they do the damn thing.
They do the thing.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
But the Chinese Cultural Center, and even just the first scene that you see of it, where there's these little Chinese kids with their like violins coming down the stairs, like it so reminds me of my friend. I'm like, over half of my friends are Chinese, and the ones that are Chinese American always talk about having to go to Chinese school and having to do orchestra and all the stuff at the Chinese Community Center.
Yep.
And so it's
what
very
that made me think of?
Community. What?
I don't know if you watched the Karate Kid remake that came out with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith.
I did not.
How there was a young girl that Jaden Smith's character connected with, and outside of the regular stuff they were doing at school, and this is in China, I believe, was it Beijing? I don't remember, but I know they were in China. Outside of the regular school stuff, she always had her violin because she had that extra level that she had to go through. So anytime he saw her outside of the regular school, she was practicing her music. And any deviation from that, the school bully, who I'm pretty sure it seemed like there was already some type of maybe arrangement for those two already, because he would always come up like, yo, nah, you should be practicing. Why are you talking to him? It just seemed a little too extra for him to just be a regular bully.
Yeah.
And little things like that for the culture and how they wove that in here, I really love seeing.
And I play violin, so I have another tidbit, a little story, which is that, you know, I played violin from like third grade all the way through high school, and I was performing a solo, and after I was done, a Chinese mom came up to me, and she had a 4-year-old little girl, and she was like, how often do you practice? Like, who's your teacher? Like, how much is it for like wanting for her girl to learn? And I was just like, let your girl be a girl for like a kid for a second.
When they tell you to start kids early on like languages and arts or anything like that, Asian parents legit take that to heart. It is all of this. As soon as you can stand up and you can hold the instrument and do the little plucking thing, that's when you start your classes. As soon as you can sit up with your back straight and play them keys on the piano, that's when you start your classes. It like when some people say that they were doing this before they could walk, I don't think it's a stretch to say that they're exaggerating. That they're not exaggerating. Yeah, that is real life for some folks.
So it was like it was literally just 2 seconds in the show, but that like it really sets the mood and it sets the tone, and especially when they go around Chinatown asking about this gangster who the parents owe money, right?
Word gets around quick.
Yeah, you see how tight
it's not even an hour. They go to a few different places, and maybe 15 minutes later, there's two thugs coming up like, we heard you were asking
Tony
about something Hong, I believe his name was.
And
they were like, no, and it came up. Nobody wanted to talk. Everybody was friendly with them and trying to figure out what was going down. You know, she very easily convinced her brother and sister to do it. And this is actually the tidbit that we were talking about that we touched on in the beginning. Her brother first was very cold to her, like it was sharp contrast because her dad was the first person she saw, and he's all, oh my God, you're here, I didn't know you were coming, why didn't you call, why didn't you tell us, come in, your sister's wedding, what was it, like her engagement party or something was happening right then and there, like the presents were just dropped off or something.
So that's
and her brother comes in. Her brother comes in and he's like, oh, after 3 years you're back. And I'm like, oh, okay, you know, little brother a little mad, all right, I get it. And then her sister comes into the room. Actually, it was her sister that came in first. Althea was the next family member that we met. And she had the typical, like, oh my God, you're here. Oh, so glad. and I'm guilty of it. I will fully admit my fault. I judged her.
I think they want you to. I think that's by design. They want you to discount her so that when she's awesome, you're like,
bruh, this girl is a legit black hat.
Awesome.
FBI level hacker.
She's awesome.
Like, we found out later, all she needs is a cell phone.
Yeah.
To get shit. I mean,
and
all
not
you
only
can
that,
tell her
like
is a couple things.
You know,
and she can guess a password.
Episode 3 too, we get that there's some shit happened to her personally.
She's great.
Yeah.
In the tech level.
I like other than the issues I have with Professor Chow, which we will talk about, I love every single character in the show.
Yeah. There's not one, even the villain. Right?
Yeah.
Even the villain.
I'm like, girl, tell me about yourself. Like, I want to know about you.
I mean, it totally helps that she's sexy as hell wielding them swords too.
Get her a couple bottles of champagne. She might be bi-curious with me. I don't know.
I'm saying. Yes, the thirst is real. I don't care. You can put in the comments that AK being thirsty. You fucking right.
Yep.
I'm a single woman and I have needs.
I'm a woman who's taken it. I still have needs.
Okay, so Althea comes in. I completely misjudge her, and honestly, I think after maybe the first couple scenes of the conversations that they had, I was like, okay, nah, I'm gonna watch this chick. There's a little something extra going on there that I'm not seeing yet.
The brother too I think it's Ryan.
I very much
misjudged him because I thought he was just being salty because
I thought he was just being a dick
because the golden child was back, and he's like, hey, I'm the one going to medical school. But then you learn that it's so much more tragic.
It was when you can tell. Like I talked about a little bit about this on the last stream. Like, I am close with a lot of my cousins that are here in this city. Like, we all grew up in between Brooklyn and living here maybe a block to 2-3 blocks away from each other. So we were always interconnected. Anything goes down, excuse me, we all you're gonna get rolled up on. It's gonna be a whole pack of us. So when I see sibling love like that on the screen, and you can tell past all of the hurt feelings and the extra, these 3 siblings were very, very close before Nikki left and was sent to China.
Yeah.
So now that she's back, and it wasn't even that she was sent to China specifically, but she ran away from where she was supposed to be, and that is what cut her off from the family. And that's what that's what her brother was hurt about, because he didn't have that connection anymore. The mom
wanted her to find a husband and come back like 6 months max, but she was gone 3 years.
It should have only been 6 months. And she was gone for 3 years instead.
And as we learned too, the mom was instrumental in breaking her up with the guy that she
very instrumental. Really okay, here's my issues with her mama. I do like her complexity. I will say that.
Yeah, like the scene
issue
with
number 1,
the fridge was really beautiful.
It was.
Yeah.
But before all that, issue number 1, ma'am, you are looking at a mirror of yourself.
Yeah.
Not only is she a mirror, you legit did the exact same thing. You didn't want to do none of this song and dance either.
Yeah,
your mom was pissed at you for years because you went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
China, yeah. You left China and went to San Francisco. Married this awesome man, and you 2 are great. You did good raising your kids. But you're giving your daughter shit for living her truth, which is the exact same thing that you did. And Nikki called her on that, and I felt every bit of her soul when she did say, you have been grooming me and trying to raise me to live the dream life that you were supposed to have, that you couldn't, that you're regretful that you couldn't give your mom. So you're trying to make me do that. And you're pissed because I don't want to. You are the biggest contradiction ever. And I just saw, Aaron, you said something about Kenzie. Yes, Kenzie on Lost Girl, she was a shit. Fully agree.
And I think also, I think everyone has that with, especially daughters with their mothers. Like, I grew up with a canopy bed. I didn't want a canopy bed, but my mom always wanted one growing up. Mm-hmm. And so she got one for me. There's this assumption of I wanted that as a little girl. So My little girl must want it. But that's just not how it works.
And that is something that a lot of parents do. This isn't just down to one or two cultures. No, there's a lot of parents that put stuff on their kids that they think their kids might want, but really it's just them dealing with their own trauma.
And I think what's interesting is if you just take these 3 episodes as a trilogy, Nikki helps someone that she barely knows, like definitely in second and third. So like the first one, she's also kind of trying to help. She's not just helping out her parents, but everyone else who's indebted to this gangster. And then you have the second episode. She helps out the girl who's been kicked out by her mom's boyfriend. And then she also doesn't know her. And then third, helping out this factory worker. And, I've read a couple reviews of the show after watching the first 3 episodes. And one of the things that I absolutely think reviewers didn't get was they were often saying, oh, it kind of meanders and stays off of the main Jurlan plot. And it's like, no, this is a part of Nikki's growth. She has to help people in her own community before she can help the world.
First and foremost, she's a protector. So what happens when she comes back into town? You don't even have to ask her. She immediately steps into that role. Absolutely. We see it first with her dad. She's already questioning within 2 minutes, 2 sentences out of this man's mouth. Yeah. What happened to your eye? And then what happens? She goes to meet him at the restaurant, and he's getting beat up by thugs. Yeah. And she ends up having to take him to the hospital. Nah, Pops, you need to tell me what the hell is going on right now. Exactly. And so, saying that, it's meandering from the Jurlan plot. Like, first of all, there are 8 weapons to go, all right? Jurlan, it's going to happen. That's the whole other half of the season. We are in episode 3, people. I know. You let it build. Give it a second. Let it breathe. It's like a nice wine. Let it breathe. But it's like, what's her name on WandaVision? They're setting up their story, Hank. Right, exactly. I don't understand why reviewers are so impatient. And because a lot of the viewers aren't. Americans. Just seeing fans, I looked up the hashtag Kung Fu CW, and just people watching don't seem to have that opinion. I think the pacing of the show is fine. And you have her, she's been away from her community for 3 years. She owes this community. And she feels like she owes them, and she wants to fully immerse herself into that. And if you look at her growth, she is doing exactly what she needs to do to get back to that peace inside, to fully be her best self. Absolutely. Everything that she's doing is what she's supposed to be doing. She can't be a fully realized Kung Fu master from episode 1. Because she's good at fighting, but but she still has a lot to learn. Her, it is not about that. It's about inner peace. Jurlan is also a good fighter, but what does she lack? Inner peace. You're only truly a Kung Fu master when your mind and your body are one and at peace. And also this idea, once again, it's also in the Karate Kid, the idea of Kung Fu as defense, right? Every time she fights, it's defending someone else. It's not just to kick someone's butt. For her. She fights the gangster. She fights at the poker game because that's not his money. He stole it, and she's getting it back. God damn it, And I appreciated that part a lot because the guy that ran the game, he said, okay, well, I don't know who's lying. The money's there. The bet has been made. We're doing it. And it takes her having to throw some hands to say, look, my guy, I need you to hear me when I say this. It's not stolen. His money. Yeah. I am taking it back. You can either give it to me or I can just fuck you up some more and your people. You want to throw me out? And I'm still going to take the money and leave. You want to throw me out? There's your boys over there on the ground. They're not going to throw me out. Exactly. So, and he just looked at her like, okay. I'll get at him about the money. You go ahead and get your stuff, do what you need to do, and have a nice day. Best believe that dude got his ass kicked as soon as she walked out that room. Oh, yeah. And, we've been talking a lot about the plot, but can we just talk about the choreography for a second? Because the choreography and the fighting is top notch. I don't know who they have as the stunt specialist. But there's a few moves that I saw are a little off. Didn't seem to click and flow as well as they should have. But overall, they're doing it, especially when it comes to her movements. Yes, there was one. Yeah, the others maybe not so much. There was her one and Jurlan, I think, are the best. Yes, her and Jurlan are good. There was this one scene, and I want to say it's in the 3rd episode, but I don't remember who she was fighting. She literally was doing crane style, and I got up off my couch and was screaming because it's my favorite style. That was when it was, and I believe it was episode 2 when she had to go, when her brother had snuck off. and she had to go to the docks
okay.
to get him.
So
that was when she was finding the gangster. Yeah.
So, audience, crane style, it's going to be a lot more out, like the wings and the hands are like this. And so whenever you're fighting, rather than punching, it's blocking and then hitting like this. Is like a crane. So the crane style is very much about using your space around you becomes much more open, and you sweep your hands like the wings of a crane. And so I had seen her do basic, just normal, not normal, but non-styled kung fu moves. Kung fu moves are just punching and kicking, and that's the first time so far. Episode 4 is already out, so maybe she's doing monkey style there. I have no idea. But she's doing the traditional crane style, which is one of the 5. If you've seen Kung Fu Panda, the Furious 5, those are the 5 main kung fu styles: the tiger, the crane, the mantis, the monkey, and the snake. So she was doing the crane, and I just really, that is probably my favorite.
That's why. So far. And I really like that. That's the one they picked, because like when everybody heard about that fight, because everybody was under that gangster's thumb. So they were very happy he was taken out. And when her little brother told the story, he made it seem like she was flying, which technically she was, but because she's not thinking on the mystical level yet, she doesn't understand everything that's really happening to her body right now. She just says, no, it's physics. I used the air amount around me and his own body against him. And it was momentum. That was it. There was no magic. I didn't fly. There was nothing. But no, baby girl, you literally were flying through the air.
Yeah, but we as viewers are starting to, especially since she's been marked by the sword, there's something going on there, man. Like there's some mystic shit going on.
I do not know who is the fight choreographer.
I'll do a quick old Google there to see if we can, because whoever's the choreographer, like there were a couple of, and it's not usually Nikki, it's usually the people she's fighting, a couple of moves that look a little awkward.
That are misstepped, yeah.
Yeah.
But all of the fighting that Hailing was doing was great. Nikki's choreography is on point. Jalan is also really good. Slightly on the fence with Henry, but he shows a decent amount of skill.
I think he was picked a lot for his looks, frankly.
More than likely. You could tell that as soon as he came on the screen.
Because his pronunciation for Chinese is terrible, so it's not because he can speak Chinese, that's for damn sure.
And we also know this is likely his first role, because we can't, there's like no back information
there's no
on him.
Wikipedia. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's the one that called Jurlan Jilan, and I just wanted to throw my shoe at the TV. Yeah. I was like, it's Jurlan! She's already said Jurlan.
I think I rewound that a couple of times. I said, wait.
Speaking audience like that. That is one thing. Rule number 1, like with Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aang is technically not his name, it's Ong, but at least everyone says Aang. You gotta keep it safe.
And like Street Fighter, everyone thinks it's Ryu, it's actually Ryu.
Yeah.
Most folks don't know that unless you're like actually deep into the Asian lore part of it.
I am having
he kind of feels like the flattest. I mean, he you know what? I agree with that assessment. He kind of is. Him and
the only
Evan.
Thing interesting about him is he's sketch. He's sus, and I want to know what's up.
He's suspect, and I think Evan is perfectly right in trying to run a background check on him, because you are just a little too convenient in where you are right now, young man.
Yeah.
You just happen to pop up, and like as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, here we go with this. Okay, that's the love interest, and then we end up meeting her ex. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's gonna be a thing. Mind you, again, this is dudes 101. Evan has a new girlfriend. But when he meets Henry, they still do the damn pissing contest.
They still do it every time.
Oh, I heard a lot about you. Oh, I heard a lot about you too. And they do the shaking hands and who can grip them. And I'm like, man, look, if y'all don't stop, boy, you have a girlfriend. What are you even mad about? What you doing?
Yeah, it's
granted, y'all are still, you and your ex are friends, and you might be wanting to look out for her, but you're doing it the wrong way. That is not the vibe that you're giving off.
Well, and it's so obvious that he got a girlfriend, but hasn't moved on.
Oh yeah. That's very clear, because he straight up asked her for an explanation. Like, 3 years, you just cut me off. Like, granted, I recognize that your mom was running interference, but you were always stood strong on that, and we were good. What the fuck happened?
Yeah. I'm trying to find who does the choreography, and I am coming up nothing. So, listener,
it's the CW. Did we not expect that? You know what?
course.
You're right.
Of
You're
course.
right.
It's the CW.
Everyone is guilty of the love triangle. And it's the same thing that's happening on
so
Shadow and Bone.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my watch list. Is that HBO
yeah.
or Amazon?
It's
Amazon.
on Shadow and Bone is Netflix.
Netflix. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my God, I have so much to watch. Which, hey, I'm not complaining. I'm a showgirl. I'm here for it. I've seen all 15
like to be
seasons of Supernatural, all 14 seasons of Degrassi: The Next Generation, and 4 seasons of Degrassi: Next Class. So, like, I'm here for it.
You know what? See, and when everyone says Degrassi, like it's like those memes that are going around now with Keanu Reeves, and some people are saying like, this is the first thing that you saw Keanu Reeves, and there's a picture of like The Matrix, and then another one is, well, this is the first one that my friend said, and I think it was like Point Break or something, and at the bottom it's like bitch please, and it's Bill and Ted on the bottom, like, yeah, I'm part of the Bill and Ted camp. So yeah, just miss me with all that
also
other fuckery.
Because I'm a Degrassi fan, like, I think
I'm original
Aubrey
Degrassi
Graham before I think of Drake, and like I'm such a big Drake fan, but like I do still see him as his character for Degrassi.
I don't even know what that is. I have never seen an episode of Degrassi with Drake. When I think of Degrassi, I know what it is. But when I think of Degrassi, I think of the original Degrassi, Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High.
Yeah,
that's my Degrassi.
All
Wheels and Caitlin and all of them. Yeah. I don't do
Caitlin
Drake.
Ryan's in the first season of Next Gen.
I know. Yeah, there's a lot of people that came back as adults that cameoed. I did
particularly Archie, Snake. He's
that whole original crew. They were awesome. I don't know why our social studies teacher decided to show that every Friday in his class, but he did, and it was awesome. It was awesome. We love that show.
But going back to Kung Fu.
Yes, back to Kung Fu. We're around episode 2-3 situations. Yeah,
we're kind of jumping back and forth, but it's only 3 episodes, so it's not even that much jumping.
Right.
But I do think that something that I really have enjoyed so far is that her siblings get their own kind of their own journey that is being set up of, first of all, we find out that her brother has come out to the parents, but literally the mom pretends like it didn't happen. Classic Chinese mom. And the dad is just acting awkward all the time. And so you have
he wants to ignore it, but he still wants to support his son. So he's that awkward in between, but the mom, moms ain't gonna have that. She's just gonna ignore it like it don't exist.
And Althea, while she has what is obviously is you could tell is a very traditional Chinese wedding going on, they literally go to a matchmaker who has an old Chinese text, and he finds the
helps
most.
Them pick the
this is a very Chinese name, auspicious.
Yeah.
The most. There's literally 3 words in Chinese that mean auspicious. That's how important choosing the right time or day for something is in Chinese culture. So there's this idea of xiang, something that's auspicious, and so he picks. I think it was like May 27th or something.
May 26th, yeah, something about like how the moon, what the weather was going to be.
So I was like, oh, that's close to my birthday. But so he picks the day, and this is based on their zodiac signs. It's also based on the 5 elements, which are water, fire,
it's
metal,
so fine-tuned,
very complicated. Yeah,
in their process. Yeah.
So they have that, and so you see there's the gift giving ceremony. So she seems very like going along with what the parents want. But
she's mixing in her little bit. Like she is very good at towing the line. Mm-hmm. She is very good at towing the line and weaving everything seamlessly. And that again is why I said I was mad at myself, because I completely misjudged her in that first scene. Completely misjudged her. I did love that she showed nothing but love to her sister coming back.
Yeah.
But everything else, I was like, okay, we already know what her line's going to be. No, I did not. And baby girl has layers.
Yes.
Oh my God. And when it comes out, I'm like, no, not that. And then they show her at the end of that episode where Nikki is trying to text her and check on her and make sure that she's okay.
Oh my God, and she just
looks at it and she turns over in bed. I'm like, oh my God, baby girl, let me hug you.
I actually teared up a little bit because,
I definitely did.
It's hinted at that we don't know for sure, but it seems that
we don't know what it was, but there was
inappropriate
sexual assault there.
Yeah, and
very inappropriate.
Yeah, and as a survivor myself, I understand that that time after it's happened where you haven't told anyone, and it's It's so devastating, and every day feels like a struggle. And she seems like someone who's like me, who doesn't suffer from depression, but situationally
she was able to compartmentalize that.
Yeah.
And in an essence, move on. But when it's brought back up to her full frontal and very, very fucking rudely, in my opinion,
I thought so too. I
right back into her face. I'm like,
she's
bitch,
a reporter, right? Like, fuck you.
It's a reporter. So first of all, you're trying to guilt trip this woman, saying, you know, well, what he did to you, he's done to other women. Well, why the fuck ain't you talking to those other women then?
Yeah. Why are you
leave this woman has told you no repeatedly. No, leave me alone.
Exactly.
And you supposedly just happened to be at this expo.
And she acts
her
like,
sister
I want to tell. Why don't you tell your story? I want to tell your story. When you're just out there to be on the front page, it's for your career.
All you're looking for is a fucking byline. And she tries to get out of that room. Yeah. You can count on, it's like 5 or 6 different times she tries to get around this chick, and this bitch blocks her every time. Got a good point. You absolutely.
Bringing it up in a public setting, confidentiality much?
Like, exactly. You absolutely
if you really
there because you heard she was going to be there.
Yeah, if
you
really
would not have cornered her. And that's the thing about Althea. Yeah. Althea held her fucking own. She did not give that bitch a fucking inch. Yeah. She said, "Look, I told you no. I'm not trying to talk about this." Okay, fine. That happened. Bye. Get the fuck away from me. No, you ain't just happen to be there at the expose. No, you heard through the grapevine because Althea's popular like that. You knew she was going to be there.
Yeah.
You came there specifically because you sought her out.
She's definitely socialite because Nikki was like, hey, get me into this party. So
exactly. Like, Nikki knew that was her out. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's another thing about those siblings that I love. Each of them, they have their own storyline, but all of their professions and what they do meld and mix with the storyline. They both have skills that their sister needs, and that's why they're so trained in what they do.
But
I absolutely love that.
Absolutely,
it doesn't feel disjointed. I don't know about you,
but it doesn't feel like like they're checking boxes, no, creating
not
these
at all.
Characters. It feels like these are totally characters that could exist. Yeah. And I really appreciate
natural progression.
It's like, our main character has X, Y, and Z weaknesses. So here we'll give these strengths to these supporting characters. But I don't really feel that way with this. And it doesn't feel like something that was manufactured. It feels like something that, think about it. Oh my gosh, anyone who has Chinese friends, like, think of any Chinese family, like, the kids are going to be successful usually. It's very, they are pushed to be that way. So, of course, all 3 of them would have these skills, right? And I do find it interesting that you have this, because, Nikki is basically a Harvard law school dropout. And so she's going to the second best law school in the nation. Yale Law School is technically the best. But
I don't think that's what will happen. Reflective. But I don't think it's going to look like that at all. What
was it? It's all fate.
No, she said it's all fate. I mean, it kind of is.
It does
but the way they weave it together, I think it's just very fitting for them. Like I said, I love seeing siblings that you can tell they have each other's back. And once they got past the awkwardness of Nikki not being there for that time, especially where her brother was concerned,
they're still healing.
You can tell they went right back to the point it was before they were separated. They absolutely love each other. They always have each other's back. If something is going down, we're going to help you whether you want to or not. If y'all ain't going to do it, well, fine. I'm going to go over here. It's like her brother. When he called himself trying to go out on his own, no, Nikki's going to go look after her little brother. That's why she went to get him.
And if I can make a prediction, if there are these 8 families with these 8 weapons, maybe Nikki is a part of one of them. Maybe the Shun family is one of those families. And that would mean that it's not their destiny to help her, but rather their family's destiny to protect.
That's what I think it is.
In that way, reflective rambling, you are onto something, and that there is definitely,
there seems to be a touch of destiny
here, but I think it's a little bit more nuanced when we get this idea of the 8 weapons and the 8 families, and that you're born to protect, but you're born to protect based on your skills, right? So Althea can protect by hacking, and the brother Ryan, I keep forgetting his name, can protect by healing. And then Nikki can protect by kicking ass, right?
And,
so
yeah, Nikki's the muscle.
Yeah.
Nikki's the muscle. So we got the guy in the chair. That's Althea, the guy in the chair. We got the healer in the group on going on the mission. That's her brother. And we got the muscle. Or I guess the rogue would be her classification if we're going like by Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah,
standards.
if we're going D&D, definitely. Yeah.
So they all fit. That's their party. And it's like Stranger Things. That's their party. They all have their roles to play, and they are poised to play those roles very well.
And what I really like about it too is that that line that the Faye, the factory worker at King Kwong, who she helps, has that really beautiful line about how much the brother has helped the community. And then she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you knew." And she goes, "I've been away." And the way she says that, freaking, it got me. I don't know why it got me so much, but it got me to where it's like she's rediscovering her siblings and what they're doing and how she's hurt them, frankly. How she's their lives moved on while she was,
more importantly,
practicing.
She sees where she needs to step in and correct the situation. Like, she knows something is up with Althea. She had something else going on that was a slight tad bit more immediate in that time, but she knows something's going on with her sister. That's why she ran out the room. That's why she's calling to try to check on her. Yeah. She knows something is up.
Something's up.
I'm hoping that they start addressing it in the next episode, because
they have to. And
that trauma, that type of hurt, you need someone to help you heal.
Especially post Me Too. This is you guys were talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, how, it's a lot about race in America. And, and Althea's storyline can be a lot about, sexual assault in America. And these
women in the corporate world.
And these storylines aren't just so the show can be woke. I hate that so much, AK. It's not what it's about. It's not at all. Finally telling these realism that have been happening for generations.
That are still happening.
Have not been highlighted. So Althea's and you notice when she says, "Oh, what your boss did," and she says ex-boss. So she quit. She had to quit because of that.
It happened. She hates it, but she is not letting that go down. Like, you look at Althea, hell, when she gets the call to try to guess the guy's password that stole the kid and her mom's money, she's got like 30 bags on her arms, and she's walking to her car, and it's not a thing. She is living her best life, doing her stuff, and she's got that little box of hurt that's in there, and she tries her best not to make it define her. Yeah, she rises above it, and for that fucking reporter to come and just try to put it in her face like that, and then try to guilt trip her
and to also be a woman. Like, we're supposed to support each other.
Exactly. What are you doing over here?
So I've never been for, especially after Me Too came out, like, it's also like National Coming Out Day. I have a little bit of a stick against that. Don't tell people when to come out. They're going to come out when they want. It's the same thing as sexual assault. They're going to talk when they're ready and not before. So
I agree.
To do that is just, it's disgusting. And I'm glad that they're highlighting this story. And I think that it shows us that Althea is a very strong woman. And that line that she has of, "I haven't even told my fiance."
Yeah, that she did not let. And first of all, digital hugs, my love. You know I'm always here. I'm always here.
Love you,
there are several ways for you to reach me, and all of them. Yes, like, outside of like having my phone number. So I mean that with all sincerity. I'm here whenever you need. Althea does not let what happened define her at all. Like, when the whole conversation started happening, I was like knitting my eyebrows together. Like, wait, where is this? Wait, whoa.
Yeah. I didn't know, because there was this call. I thought it was like an ex that was still in love with her.
Yeah, like because Althea, she just does not let anything diminish her light, and that is just it's so refreshing and satisfying to see. Like, that was her approach. Is okay, it happened. I got out of that situation. Like she said, my ex-boss, fuck that guy. I wasn't going to stay there and put up with it. She left. And she is a woman of her own renown in the community. Okay, like she is well respected, she is well liked from everything that I've seen. She is successful in the field that she is in, and she's just living her best life again. And I love that. And not that she doesn't have feelings. No, it absolutely affects her. And we see that especially that night when she gets home. But that golden light that's inside of her, that's what she clings to. And I love how she does that. It's just very refreshing to see, because a lot of times they'll just make it all about the trauma. And that's what they think is supposed to define the strong woman that she is.
And this is the issue I had with Game of Thrones with giving Sansa a rape storyline. It's like, we'll just have this woman be raped, and that makes her a strong woman. That makes her relatable. That makes her important. And it's like, no, that's not where we should go with this.
Absolutely, they completely missed the mark.
And they really did. Oh my God, don't get me started. But what I think, if I can make a kind of my hope for that storyline going forward, I hope she will confide in Nikki, and that Nikki will kind of honor that trust by not telling others, but by telling Althea, we have to do something. And just like she has first, second, and third episode, she kicks ass and she helps out. Yeah. And I think that's what Nikki's going to do.
Right. And from the way they've said it and the morals that Nikki has, it's not going to be just some revenge story like she's going to stalk this guy and then go kick his ass. No. It's going to be something else that just brings him into that circle again. That's what we saw with King
Kwong, right? She basically called him and had him confess on mic. She wasn't kicking his butt.
Oh, that was a great scene. That was one of the highlights of episode 3. This guy, we met Faye. We saw she's being sick. The poor girl collapsed at work. Yeah. And the first thing she wonders when she gets back up is, when can I leave so I can be at my next shift?
Miss another shift.
I don't have sick pay.
And
if I miss another shift, they're going to fire me.
You see whenever Nikki's in the factory, she's looking at her desk. You see pictures of her family there. Like it's a very, very sweet person, and she wants to help her fellow workers. She's not going, I hate that I don't have enough, that I don't get paid enough, that I don't get enough breaks. It's we don't get enough breaks. We're not paid enough. We're overworked.
If you look at, the culture as it is, but also as they have established it in the show, it's not just Faye. I don't even think it's as simple as her looking out for the community. She fully takes it on her shoulders, because she says, I started this. Everyone needs it. They are counting on me. They are looking to me to get it done. If I let myself get fired, and she doesn't say any accidents or anything. No, she thinks it's her allowing herself to be fired. Yeah. She sees it as her personal failure. Then she feels she's going to let the whole community down. And she cannot have that. Like, that's the togetherness that this community has.
Yeah,
and she
Faye is
putting
really
herself out there to do it.
Yeah, and Faye is really that example of the hardworking Chinese American who honestly isn't complaining about that much, right? She's like, hey, can we have paid sick leave?
Bare minimum. Can I get a couple sick days?
Basic human rights. And so, we have this, and I really found it interesting, the line that, so there was the CEO of King Kwong, but then there's a COO who is the guy who was doing all the
one
shady
that's
stuff.
Actually in charge. Yeah.
And exactly. And it has that classic, like, who's really, kind of the hand of the king controlling the king kind of thing going on there.
Me? Or like, as soon as he opened his mouth,
I
looked at him, I was like, bullshit.
When he said that one line where he's like, I'm a money man, but my dad was a union guy, I was like,
bullshit. You know what? Even if your dad no, not because now that I think about it, they came from somewhat meager start, because he said, if it wasn't for me and every move that I've made, we would still be selling shirts in his mom's garage or something. So they weren't from like upper middle class or anything. No, they were below the dirt. So his dad probably was a union man.
Absolutely.
And that makes you doubly fucked up, because your dad would put you in the face.
It wasn't that I didn't believe what he was saying about his dad. It's that it seemed as someone who's very anti-capitalist, I know that it corrupts everyone, and there's just no way that you stay sane.
Especially when he didn't have anyone to answer to. His boy was in charge of the operation, but he's just the moneymaker. He's the face of the company. He's the one coming up with the ideas.
Yeah.
The COO is who's actually putting everything into practice.
Absolutely. And the one
and as soon as he started talking, I just said,
taking care of problems right on the side that the CEO doesn't know about, including this poor girl who's just trying to get some human rights.
Who is asking for, honestly, it seems like they are in like modern times. Like the year that they're in on the show isn't too far from the year we're in now.
Yeah.
Why the hell don't these people have some sick days?
Seriously.
McDonald's will give you sick days.
Really. And
like, what the hell?
Because she said minimum wage, which I assume means, well, if it is California, then it would be the $8.25, but that's still not great.
That's not good
more than that now. I know there's a city, San Francisco has a citywide minimum wage that's more, but it's because it's expensive there. So like $10 is like $7, you know? And Reflective Rambling also has a good point about, this being a nod to communal duty, which is very big, obviously, in Chinese culture. And, that can often be misconstrued as, because they're communist. No, that's not what this means. And communist China right now, what they are is really not communist in the first place. But I'll put that on the shelf for another day.
There's a whole,
what I'm trying to say
there's a whole conversation
is
there.
There is this idea of and it comes from Confucian values. It also comes from Buddhist values. It can also come from Taoist values, which is that your local community is everything. So if they need something, you owe it to them just as much as as you would owe it, not necessarily to your family, because your family is first and foremost, but your community, right? If you take care of the community will take care of you. Yes. And so that's something that Faye is very much seeing as, okay, we have this King Kwong. It's this big Asian American brand, and we're very excited to be a part of it. But we also want it to be a good place to work. And I think that her working toward that, and also then Ryan's boyfriend, or maybe boyfriend, they're dating. We'll put it dating.
They were lovey-dovey enough to where that I think they're definitely boyfriends.
I totally stand them, so that's exciting.
And his boyfriend's an activist, so that's how she even knew to call her sister, we got get me into this. We gotta go. This thing is happening. I love we need to help.
You have also there then a person that's a part of the Black community in San Francisco then expressing, hey, solidarity with, with other people of color. And I think also, there is, we've seen obviously with in 92 in LA, there can be animosity between Asians and Black people, and it can come to a head. And who does that help but the white people? I'm sorry, it only helps the white people. But if you have solidarity together, that's what really scares the heterosexual white patriarchy.
It's like actually
patriarchy.
Season 5, I think it was the finale.
Aaron, if they had relations.
I'm pretty sure they had some relations.
I think they have.
Aemy, and I know you'll remember the scene. It's one of the last scenes in season 5 of The Expanse when Avasarala is giving her speech. This in the room, what's happening right now, Earth, Mars, Citizens of the Belt, all sitting down, talking, communing, and making a plan for everyone to grow. That's what is going to hurt Marco Anaris the most.
Absolutely.
And that's solidarity, togetherness.
It's classic united we stand, divided we fall. And that's the thing is that, the reason that white heterosexual patriarchal capitalism, all the things, but the reason why why it doesn't want solidarity is because there is this idea of equality would mean that there's no longer privilege. So it would feel like we as white people are losing something, when actually when people grow and people are raised up, we're all raised up. Yeah. So I think that that's something that this show actually really embodies, is when Nikki embraces people in her community and people outside of her community. There's that little white girl she helps right in the second episode.
It helps for no reason, but she saw this man beating up on this little kid.
Exactly. And she does it because, and if you look at it, she's going to this homeless shelter. She, in many ways, poor white people are in a lot of the same boat as poor people of color. And so you have this idea of, and it's very common in American society then for rich white people to convince poor white people, and I see it coming from the South and coming from not my parents, but their parents coming from poor families
Yeah.
of, oh,
That
it's
they're
not
still
that
better
the white
than-
people have all the money. It's that those people of color around you, they want to take your jobs, right? Pitting them against each other. And so she has solidarity with this young girl because she sees the hardship that she's going through and remembers the hardship that her parents are going through being in debt.
And
right?
that's what
And
makes her want to help.
Exactly.
And she
Nikki,
does it for
this is
no
why I
other
think
reason
Nikki's
than it's
one
the
of the
right
8
thing
families.
to do.
It's just why I think that the Shun family is one of the 8 families, because like this protection, and her siblings too.
It's in their
her
hearts.
brother wants to heal people. Her sister wants to fight back by hacking. I mean, it's just it's really well done.
And even with the issues that I've had with how her parents have an outlook on things, they are still doing it coming from them to protect the other. You know, if Nikki hadn't come along, her dad would have taken that ass whooping and said, I fell down some steps.
Yeah.
And it would not have been a thing at all. Mom was getting ready to give up the family jewels that have been gifted to her from generations past.
And not even, and it would be a fifth of their debt, right? It's she said I can get
it barely would have covered it might have covered a little bit of the interest.
Yeah.
That's it. But she was willing to do that still to protect their image and to protect their family. Yeah. So no one looked down on them.
And also, if you look closely at that scene, one of the jewelry pieces that she has is a bridal piece of jewelry, meaning that her mother, her grandmother, perhaps even her great-grandmother passed that down whenever their daughters got engaged. And it's like, that is so sentimental. Someone would just buy it for a couple thousand and not even think about it. But it's been in the in that family for so long. And so that it's just really, that scene really got me. Can I do a little gripe though, AK? Just a little gripe.
Yes. We're not just giving the good vibes. We talk everything here.
Professor Chow is supposed to be a specialist in ancient Chinese history.
Well-learned specialist.
And his Mandarin is awful. And like, maybe, okay, I looked up the actor. I think he grew up speaking Cantonese and not Mandarin, because his Mandarin is the worst in the show. I have better Mandarin than this guy. I was like, what? It was really bad. And it was such in contrast to Zhilan. So, so I'll even say I remember the lines himself. He's like, can I help you? And he's so staccato with it, it doesn't flow. He's like, 我能帮你吗? Instead of 我能帮你吗? Right? And then she goes,
like he's trying to remember how to say it.
And then she said, exactly, which is why I don't think he's naturally a Mandarin speaker. And then she says, oh, I think you can help me. And she's like, 可以，我相信你可以. Like, she says it perfectly. And I'm like, oh, it's such a contrast. So he's like, oh, I'm know all this, Chinese ancient stuff and can read all these ancient texts, but then my Mandarin sucks ass. So just like, look, they didn't have to recast. All they had to do, make him speak English to Zhilan. Just English. Just only speak English.
Right.
In my opinion, if the actors cannot speak good Mandarin, just speak English.
Yeah. I appreciate that they want the language there, because that is very much in Asian culture, and that's they speak English. Like you might think that they don't speak a lot of English, but they absolutely do. Some of them speak it way better than us.
Speaking this in Singapore, plenty of people.
Yeah, exactly. They just prefer to communicate with each other in their native tongue, and they have every damn right to do that. So I love hearing it, and I love the authenticity that it gives. But yeah, if you can't actually pronounce the words right, I need you to not.
And literally no one but me and people that speak Mandarin would notice that. So it's a very small thing. But I will also say then, while I'm on the subject of Professor Chow, his acting was a little off in the torture scenes. Was that just me, AK?
No. It came off very stiff to me.
Yeah,
like you were trying. Like,
this hurts.
When your thumbs are in that device, you don't just say, "Oh, it hurts." You don't scream and ask for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, and when he picks up the coffee,
that's not what
you
happens.
can see that his thumbs are hurt. When he picks up the coffee, he should have been like,
"Ow!" It looks like both his thumbs are already broken. Like, getting the pressure off. He should have been like having a hard time. His hand should have been shaking.
Yeah. And so it just the acting and the fact when he realized he was poisoned, I was not feeling okay. Yeah. I liked his character. I liked what they were doing. He acted he didn't
act it very well.
So badly. Like
while we're talking about that scene though,
he needed more direction from the director or a complete recasting on his character.
Yeah.
I was not feeling it. Maybe he did really good in the casting call.
That's highly possible.
But
this scene with him and Jalon, at the end, you know, he speaks to her well enough to where she takes the things off and she's like, all right, fine, let me get you your coffee, tell me where the shit is, we'll make a trade. I don't know why he asks for anything that he would have to ingest. Because especially when in just the scene before, not even the scene, a few lines before that, he said, I know either way it goes, I'm going to end up dead.
Actually, that might...
He kind of helped himself
now that I'm rethinking that,
AK,
that might make sense in that he's like, let me just get this over with. She's going to kill me. I might as well make it easy for her, but I don't know. That natural will to live that I think people have.
A woman like Jalon, he didn't need to give her that caveat.
Yeah.
He did not need to do that. There was no reason that he would have needed to do that at all.
And I will say, too, one part that I can think of one thing he did that I really liked, which was when she asked, is that it? Do you know where it is? The scabbard, right? He said that the sword needs the scabbard. And he goes, no, I don't. And then she goes, oh, good, because I don't need you anymore, whatever.
That's what I was getting to.
The look on his face was really good when he reacted to that. And I was like, okay.
And not only the look on his face, but the way Jalon said it, she was like, are you don't know where it is?
You don't know where it is.
You promise?
You promise?
Yeah, I promise.
Oh,
okay. Because I would have just made a really big mistake. He just got up and walked out. And that's when he noticed and looks at the cup like, oh, fuck.
Like that, and
bro,
actually,
you just
honestly,
made it easy for her.
If let me look it up. I think her name is Vanessa. Yeah, no, that was the one.
I'm sure I have seen her in something else.
Yeah,
she actually very much resembles Kelly Hugh. She resembles Kelly Hugh a lot.
So if Yvonne Chapman hadn't totally freaking killed that scene, maybe Professor Chow would have looked better. But because she's so
very
good,
skilled. She's very skilled, and she's really good playing that role.
Like
everything about her fits with what that character is supposed to be. If I were to pick
my top 3 who I think are the best actors, I would do it in order: Yvonne Chapman, who plays Jerlon, then Zoma, who plays the dad, and then after that, I think I'm going to go for the guy who plays Ryan, the guy who plays her brother. Seems to be his first role.
I like her brother, but I would put the actress that plays Pailing ahead of him.
Yeah, you're right. Actually,
and also I think I would put
Pailing is.
I think I would put Pailing. Yes, I think I would put Nikki, just one notch above her brother. But him and Althea, they are killing it.
They really are. I'm really excited. I hope this gets a second season already, and we're only 3 episodes in. And I really hope that every single one of these Asian American actors sees success, because we need more Asian American representation.
Yes, I know, I really agree. And you're right. Like, how dare you come onto the scene?
That she's in, you're gonna just look straight to her, and you're gonna forget anyone's even there.
How dare you have all this skill? How dare you be such a good villain and look the way you do?
It's just not fair.
Excuse the fuck out of you. How very dare you?
And also, I gotta say, the costume designer and the hair and makeup people on this show, really, really good too.
Oh yeah.
Everyone looks fabulous.
And they look exactly the way you would think their character is supposed to look.
Yes.
Again, Jalon and Althea have the best fashion. Makeup always beat. Hair, smash, boom. Wig always split, dressed to the fucking nines. Like they're like little baby Asian Avasaralas running around. Like just the on pointness with the fashion is great.
I don't know if you noticed this, AK, but like Jerlon tends to have the darker eyeshadow and darker lipstick, so it's like even.
They gave her the villain makeup.
Yes, they gave her the villain makeup. I freaking love that. As someone who just got into makeup, so I wore makeup every day when I was in middle school, mostly because I had self-esteem issues. But then I stopped wearing makeup for a long time. Then I started, streaming, so I've been wearing makeup, and I just now got into the shading and the different colors that go with what skin tone and and what outfits. And oh my god, they just kill it in this show.
They do. Whoever is beating them faces is beating the hell out of them faces.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Yeah, just dude, the freaking, when they said bridesmaid dresses, I was not expecting Nikki to come out with legs for fucking days in that beautifully hugging all of her curves dress. Like,
yes,
again, how very fucking dare y'all.
It was cut at the exact, it's so hard to find in women's fashion where it cuts to the waist and then comes out at the right spot.
Naturally to fit.
Yeah.
Oh, that was telling me. You ain't gonna get me to think that just happened to be on somebody's shelf. No, they absolutely tailor-made that for that scene for her.
Looked so good. And I love the part where she was like, I forgot how great your legs are. She's like, can we make this
She's
longer?
like, yeah, we need to have full length dresses. See, and that is the duality of Althea. I love that. Like, again, she might come off as this little, ditzy social elite. No. She is so much more. And she's not a bridezilla, but she is still very, you ain't gonna look better than me. But she has a job to do, and you're not gonna get in her way. Like the cake tasting. She's like, okay, but you owe me your card. You left it blank. And she's like, fine, red velvet. And she's like, Nikki. And she's like, fine, the lemon one, it's simple. And even I know that red velvet's overplayed. And I'm sorry. I had to pause like, no, fuck you very much, Nikki. Red velvet and cream cheese icing is the shit always.
It is so good. It is so good. But I do have to say, I love a good lemon meringue. But I just thought that was so good where it was like, Althea really can call her on her shit like no one else in the family. Yeah. And I love that.
Again, that so sibling love, that relationship that all three of them have is great. They know each other so well to where when the girls are meeting up and Orion is not there, she doesn't even have to try to call him to find out where he is, even though she does. And it goes to voicemail. She says, oh no, this little asshole done went to the docks. And she knows exactly where to go because she knows her brother that well.
And I love that the I don't remember the exact name, but like the bar was called like Huato's Apothecary, and you're like, I was like, he's at a drugstore. Like what? And it's like, oh no, it's
you never know with bar and club names, man.
Seriously,
you
bar
never
and
know.
Club names are so weird. Like there was one, like I heard this joke where it's like, it was called I Don't Care. So then he's like, where do you want to go? I don't care. Well, fine. Like maybe we could. No, I don't care.
No, it's called I Don't Care.
I don't care. Yeah. Yeah. Or
and also
where I went to college had a place called No Name Bar, and you literally had to search No Name Bar. Mm-hmm. It was so hard to find.
That I have found, and I don't know if it's everywhere, but there seems to be a lot of evidence if you go looking. Asian folks, when they're naming their restaurants in America, are very, very cleverly funny as fuck. I'm not going to say the names because some of them do end up being very derogatory. And I want to like throw a rock through the window, but at the same time, like the rebel in me that likes sometimes petty fuckery, I'm like, okay, well played. I see what you did there. Not everybody's getting it, but I see you. And some of their names, because of the pronunciation, they get away with it. Yeah. So you might see something that looks to us like fuck you, but it's okay if they put it out there because that's not how they pronounce it.
Yeah.
And once they that gives them an opportunity to say, oh no, it's pronounced like this, ha ha ha, and then they go in the back and laugh their asses off. Look at these dumbass Americans. I can't fault them for that. I'm just saying it's like their little bit of get back, and I feel like that's deserved.
I also like that
I appreciate it.
Their harmony. I think it's Harmony Dumplings, right? Is the name of the their parents.
I don't remember.
I think it's something like that. And I love how when they show that, it's like it's in this like really dilapidated building but it still has that like Asian style to it because San Francisco Chinatown is old. Like some of those buildings have been there since the mid 1800s. And so it looks, what people would, I think, not a great word to use, but they would call
a lot of that looks
ghetto.
The same in New York, Chinatown.
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
exactly. And so they would call, this is ghetto or whatever. But it's like, no, this is historical.
See, you know what? The EDP department here in my county, they handle a lot of buildings and construction and architecture. And I remember one of the guys that I was really good friends with before he went to the private sector, he was talking to some architects that were from Rome and talking about a new building that was being built somewhere downtown in our city. And yeah, from the details that the guy in Rome got, he was like, that's really one of the issues that folks have with you Americans. Sometimes you're never content with what you have, and you don't seem to always value what's there. You tear it down and put up the next new shiny thing.
Yeah.
And then you waste money, you tear it down and you put up the next new shiny thing. If you go to Rome right now, if there is a street on a map from the 18 or early 1900s, you can probably still find that street.
Yeah.
It's not been, it may have new pavement to keep up with the traffic of cars that we have today, but that same street is still going to be there. There's not a lot of places in the US that can say that.
Absolutely. And I also like the thing with SF Chinatown too is it's basically like a 10 by 10 block radius, but you could walk it, and like the second you walk in there will of course be tourists, but otherwise you'll hear all sorts of Chinese dialects, and they'll have things in English, but they'll also have the Chinese there. And it is, when I was last in SF Chinatown, it made me so nostalgic for Beijing. And it was so, I also felt like there were all these posters for like, Chinese language school, or, the Mahjong club, or, learn how to play the erhu. Like there were all of these. Togetherness
and learning is very big. Very, very big with their culture. That's why they have the community center that they do.
Yes.
Because that's where all those classes are that are free for the community. And it's the community that are the teachers and helping anyone new coming in to get properly acclimated.
Absolutely. And I think that, the Shun children, you can tell that they were, instilled with this kind of service. So that when Ryan is like I said, I don't think he's getting paid. I think he's volunteering as a medical, help. And a lot of the reason he can do that is because he's a medical student. He hasn't graduated yet, so that they can justify not paying him. But you can tell that he does it because of what his parents have taught him. And I think that that's one thing that the parents can be proud of all three children, is that definitely translated to them in their upbringing, was to have service. And can I just please talk about the fridge scene just real quick?
Yes, I was going to bring that up next. Roll with it.
Because
also another tearjerker part. Oh
my God. The whole time I was like, I know that there's more to the mom. I want more from her. And then there was Jerry, the broken fridge. Fridge was like, every time, first it was funny. It was like, haha, this, they've got to put the spatula there, otherwise it breaks. And then, and then the dad says, she says, you spare no expense for this thing. And then he says, I love you in English. And then he switches to Chinese and he says, but sometimes I don't understand you.
Yeah.
And then
the part before that is he was comparing that to everything she said the night before about Nikki, because Nikki forgot. She didn't forget. She just got distracted in trying to help that girl and her mom. So by the time she got back home to continue the game that her and her father last played before she went AWOL, she came home to find her dad asleep on the couch, and she felt very bad. Yeah. She didn't do it on purpose, but of course, here comes mom with all of the harsh words.
And you can also argue that the reason that that she was late is because she was doing what they had taught her, which was to help people.
Exactly.
So it's like,
and even before that, the mom was saying, I don't know if she's really back for good. I don't want you to get your hopes up and be hurt again. She might decide to leave again tomorrow. Mom obviously is very hurt, and she doesn't know how to deal with that very well. And her dad is saying, we've been wanting her to come home for 3 years. And now that she's here and you're acting like this.
Yeah.
Like, how do you expect her to want to even be near you?
Yeah.
And then it gets to the fridge, like Aemy was saying, like, you spare no expense to fix this thing. It's just a thing. But you're being so cold to your daughter that you've been wanting to come home, and now she's here, and you act like you don't care about it. Like you want her to leave again.
Exactly. And so when the father walks off, she's putting up the pictures and she's crying and she says, it's not a thing. And you see it's the pictures of all of her kids. And like that fridge is over 20 years old. And you know that she got that fridge for the restaurant when they were young. Maybe even babies, the third one wasn't even born yet. And so I think it's the son that's the youngest, right? I think it went,
the brother's the youngest.
I think it went Nikki, Althea, and then Ryan. But that really fucking got me, AK, because it's like that was her family, that was her display there, and she's able to, every time she opened to get some cabbage or to get some leeks or some carrot, whatever, she saw her family, and it was like they were all together again. And so for the last 3 years, that had been her comfort, you know? And it also represented her dream of having this successful restaurant, right? And so that really got me, especially the part of when she said it's not a thing, meaning that it embodies, it's a living thing to her that expresses her hopes for herself and for
and she is also very visibly crying when she whispers that. She can't even bring herself to say it loud enough. And he was still within earshot for a couple seconds.
She could have been like, it's not just a thing.
But she didn't want any harshness to come in. Like she pretty much deflated when he said, I don't understand you, and walked off. And that's what really brought it out. And then again, you see she's still gonna do what she's been raised to do when he comes in and says, I gave Ryan the night off. I'm gonna cover him. He had something to go do. I want him to, be able to out there and be and do what he wants. And she asks, "Is that okay?" I think that it was very small, but it's a thing that matters because she knows her mom might not really be too happy with her being there. And mom says, "Yeah, that's fine." She quickly wipes her face and makes sure to cover up the fact that she was crying or feeling anything that could be perceived as weak.
Yeah.
And that's what made that whole scene. And you can tell from the look on Nikki's face that she knows there's something there, but she's not going to push her mom to do anything. They've already had their little argument. She said her piece, and it basically just is what it is. Cards on the table. Mom, it's your next move. Yeah. This is all on you now.
Yeah, and I think at that point she realized that she's going to have to take a different approach with her mom than what she's taking with her father. And that with her father, it's just being there and playing go with him, right? And even when she does it, and that sweet thing of, I really loved the representation of the Go board as a clean slate for her and her father, right? He says, "Oh, I've got the picture from our game 3 years ago." And she goes, "Let's start a new game." He's, "Oh, it can take days." And she goes, "No, let's do a clean slate."
If it takes days, it takes days. And the little tidbit in that is when the mom came downstairs and she heard Nikki say that. She heard that whole conversation. And she walked off with a little smile. Because this is, again, she could have absolutely went in there and squashed the beef right then and there.
Yeah.
But because she is who she is, she's going to just say, okay, all right, Dad's protected now. They don't need me, so I'm going to go over here.
And I think that also that line from Nikki, it's also saying, I'm going to put in the time. I'm not going to just expect everyone to just be okay. Like, I don't think and a lot of this is because she was the golden child. Both of my parents were the golden children. I'm an only child, so I don't know about this phenomenon personally, but I've heard about it where it's like, it's kind of just assume that everyone's going to love and accept you because you were the golden child. You don't have to work for it. So when Nikki does have to work for it, it's kind of like she has to change her way of thinking, right? To be like, oh, okay, like it's go ahead.
No,
because you might have siblings. I don't.
Yeah, I can. And that's the thing. I can totally understand your outlook on that because you don't have siblings, and sometimes it's not even just as simple as siblings. It's younger siblings. It's not necessarily that she's the golden child, but she's the firstborn. One of my dad's nicknames for me is literally firstborn. I'm his first kid, and I'm also my mom's first kid. So growing up in West Indian household that I did, there's a lot that's expected from you. and you don't always know that that's going to be your responsibility. It's sort of just thrust on you little by little until you figure it out. Okay, this is what I have to do. I need to be the example. You know, there's little eyes watching you. Whether you have younger siblings that seem to be bothersome or not, you are their older sibling. You are the one that they are going to follow, whether they want to admit that or not. They look up to you, even when they might be calling you a bitch or thinking that you're horrible or whatever argument is had. You are still their older sibling, and they are going to look up to you. And a lot of times that tends to get lost in translation. And that's one of the reasons why I keep saying that their sibling dynamic is great and on point. And I love seeing that, because it's not, Nikki had those issues and she had to go find herself. And there's a point in time where I definitely had issues. I wasn't always, the good stepchild. I'm sure my stepmom could probably tell you stories about me being a bitch when I may not have really realized that I was being a bitch. And within that, it causes issues. It was never anything big enough to where dad might have to yoke me up like, hey, little girl, this A, B, and C. No. I'm usually very good at self-correcting. And if I see a behavior that I know is horrible, I try to correct it. It does take time. But again, this is why I champion Nikki so much, because she sees the mistakes. She understands that she is the first kid, and she does have that responsibility. It's not even just been beaten in her head or all of the responsibilities were just dropped on her shoulders, so to speak. But we are raised coming up to know that, again, protective nature. This is why big brothers and big sisters always look out for their younger siblings. It's just a thing that happens, and not everyone is good at handling that role. And Nikki does it very well. She sees her flaws. She tries to work on them when there is issues. She tries to talk it out. But again, that can't just be on one person. And with her mom, especially, like you just said, Nikki knew when to pull that back. They have to come to their own terms in their own time with whatever situation may come. So younger siblings might say golden child, but it's really just the firstborn kid really coming into their own.
And I think that's been actually slightly overemphasized in the story, especially when she has that dream where her brother says it again. I think that it's her her psyche's way of expressing the pressure of being the firstborn. And also, I will say too, there is also this kind of this dynamic of those 3 years in Yunnan for her was when she was purely selfish, only focusing on herself. And this is when she needs to pay it forward. She needs to now only worry about other people. And I think that's really what the show is about Nikki focusing on other people rather than herself. So, and also R has the question about, is Go popular in the Asian American community? I would actually say, at least for the Chinese American community,
what is Go?
Weiqi, what they were playing with the two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her and her dad. It's definitely more older generations. I would say mahjong is more popular with
that's what I always that's why what I always saw a lot of my Asian friends.
Just thinking for my friends that are Asian or Asian American, most of them know how to play mahjong. Not very many of them know how to play Go. And I actually in my undergrad for about 4 years, I had a monthly mahjong game with my Asian friends. We had a really good time. And of course we gambled because that's the only way to play mahjong. So I won some, lose some,
Hey, bored college kids, man. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive, man.
Yeah. But that's actually really interesting, AK, and I really appreciate your view because, both of my parents are firstborn children. And so they always felt this kind of pressure, responsibility, maybe spotlight. I'm not quite sure how you'd want to put it on, But for me, because I'm an only child, there's no one else to put the spotlight on, but there's also no one else to compare me to. So I think that I definitely, don't have that kind of, issues. I mean, I think the only people I ever felt compared to were cousins, and even then I totally beat them anyway, so it's fine.
Like, see, and that's why
我想不是. I thought not.
And that's why my comparison for like how Nikki is with her siblings was like me and my cousins that grew up here. Like, I remember even when we first came into the country, there were just maybe 10 of us, maybe in a 2-bedroom Brooklyn apartment, and y'all know them apartments really ain't that big. But that's we're very family oriented. So yeah, when we need to pull together, that's what we do.
Absolutely. And that's also something that I think a lot of particularly white Americans don't quite get. But me, as someone who has been around people of many different cultures, that idea of the multi-generational family living in the same house is very much accepted, if not seen as the norm, because you see it as you pull your resources together, and that's how everyone makes it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
that's
I don't remember
Shun family sees in Chinatown.
Yeah. Like, I don't remember a lot of it because I was very small in Guyana, but I know even there, a lot of us were in the house. My grandma, my mom, aunts, maybe one or two of my uncles at different intervals, and whatever kids came along at that point. Yeah. So that family dynamic is what I'm used to. That's why I always say, like, I'm a pack animal. Like, I'm a wolf, but the wolf needs time alone sometimes. So I'm gonna be over here, and then I'll come back and hang with y'all in a minute. So, and I think Nikki needed that space with everything that was going on, all the pressure she was feeling. She had to find her own clarity, and that's one thing that the Shifu always said: you have to find your quiet. You have to calm the storm. Like, you cannot let anger and fear be the places you make decisions from, because it will never be right if you do it that way. You have to find peace.
Absolutely, and that's what I think. What the show's going for is showing how she's different from Jerlan. Obviously, Jerlan did not make peace with her family because she killed a member of her family. Right?
And also that's actually a good segue, because what we find out is that Jerlan is actually her Shifu's sister.
Yes. And I think
that's how she knew. It seems like Jerlan.
There's a little bit of a rivalry there that makes, and the Jerlan feeling like she has to prove herself. That I'm like, she's the younger one, isn't she?
Yep. That is exactly younger sibling behavior.
And I think it's very, very possible that Shifu, Pei Ling was kind of the golden child of the family, so that Jerlan feels like she needs to prove herself by stealing the weapons.
Pei Ling has very firstborn tendencies, to me anyways. And I caught that, and especially after it came to light that they were sisters, I said, that first fight makes all of the sense now.
And I think once we learned about all of the different families, it also made me think of how Jerlan is thinking that she's feeling, maybe one of the ways that she kind of justifies what she's doing is she's bringing honor to her family, right? Which I think
she carries the amulet.
The Zhang family. Yeah. So
that
she represents the Crane, the Zhang family. So I feel like she is, even though she's doing terrible, violent things.
That's not the vibe that I got. But I honestly, for their culture, I don't think they said that. If that is the case, they're not going to say that specifically, because once the families join, the blood doesn't matter. You are in one household. You are one family. At least from what I've experienced of their culture, that's how it seems to me. I don't know, Amy, you've experienced more though, so you can correct me if I'm wrong.
It's actually quite annoying how obsessed a lot of traditional Chinese thing is with blood and pure blood. So I would hesitate a little bit, but I would see it as, even if she's half Zhang, she's Zhang, right? Even if she's half protector of this one, of the sword, then she's full protector. So I think in this question, this is all fantasy, technically, whatever, I believe in magic. But this idea of the magical bloodline, even if they are half siblings, I could easily see it as that actually, I don't know, RR, you might be onto something. Because
and here's the thing, though.
Herself seems much more than what Pei Ling has.
Is it even a magic bloodline? Because the weapons, what they say is they were blessed by an ancient, very powerful Chinese shaman. How did those families end up being the ones that were picked to protect all of those weapons, because the only thing that we have a mostly full backstory on is the sword.
Mm-hmm.
How did it come to be that it was Piling's family that had to protect it, and who are the other families that are protecting it? And also from the position of the little stubs in that case for how those weapons are supposed to be displayed, I'm really trying to guess what other weapons are out there.
I have some thoughts. Would you like to?
Because there's supposed to be 8, but it didn't seem like 8 weapons would fit in there.
I think one of them is going to be a halberd, a spear. That's a very common traditional Chinese weapon.
Yeah.
I think one will be a katana, like a short sword, as opposed to the long sword that we see. I also think it's possible that we could have, and it sounds dumb, but hear me out, maybe a fan? Like literally a fan, right?
That doesn't sound dumb at all.
We see in Mulan, she uses a fan. We see the Kyoshi warriors in Avatar Last Airbender using
fans.
That
has always been Katana's weapon of choice in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, so I think one of them might be a fan.
Yeah,
I would say nunchucks, but it's Chinese, not Japanese, so I kind of lean away from that. I also think that bow and arrow could easily be another one of
a bow and arrow. Yeah. I could see that, but it wouldn't really be the arrows. I think it would have to be just the bow.
Just the bow
itself.
So we already know the sword, and we also have the hook swords.
We have those. Yeah.
Episode 3. So my guess are the bow, the halberd, perhaps some sort of like spiky bludgeoning thing. Maybe.
I was thinking size. Would that be?
Yeah, that could easily be one. Yeah. And so I think we're really only missing like 2 more weapons. But the fan, did I mention the fan? I already mentioned the fan, but I'm not sure if I did it in my count. But yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of that. And I'm really excited to talk when more episodes come out, AK, to be back on here to see if any of these come to fruition.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. I'm planning on definitely going through the whole season with you.
Yes,
what did you say here? Would the wielder itself be considered one, as there seems to be a bodily that is a very interesting question.
I like that.
I really like that angle.
What if the 8th
because like
weapon,
I said, the way that
what if Sherlon gets all 7 weapons and she can't find the 8th, and this whole time it's Nikki?
I think that's highly possible.
Wow.
I am not going to rule that out.
Ooh, that is fascinating.
I really like where that could go.
I like that too. I like that a lot.
I like that. That would be interesting. And I mean, and not only is it Nikki, but maybe, random tinfoil, hear me out. Like I was questioning how the families came into be. What if it's the sorcerer's family? Like Genghis Khan spread his seed very well, and there are multiple cultures that are very different from each other that have his DNA today. Mm-hmm. So let's say it's that the sorcerer that blessed those weapons gave it to his kids and passed it down. The woman that had that sword first. Yeah, the woman that had that sword first, let's say maybe she was one of his kids. Or we don't know exactly how old the sorcerer was. Maybe she's a child of one of his kids. And that's when it really came into play.
So, and dear audience, for just a kind of time period thing, the woman who had the sword from the Tang Dynasty, that's going to be anywhere from 600 to 900 CE. Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to say that here's how I actually picture this shaman thing. And once again, this will all be confirmed or not confirmed probably by the end of the series.
Yeah, we're spouting theories. We're in the theory section now. But next to the wrap up. Let's go.
I could see it as there's some kind of great battle, and 8 warriors proved their worth with these weapons, and then the sorcerer
Mortal Kombat.
And then the sorcerer did something with their blood where they all had to cut their blood.
It bound them. It bound them
to the weapons, so that any of their kin, any of their generations of descendants can be bound to weapons. Be worthy.
These weapons are gone. They have to be worthy.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that they deserve the weapon. It means that they could contend to be worthy of the weapon. So I see it as there was some kind of great battle or some kind of conflict, and that these 8 families, 8 warriors, proved themselves worthy, and one of them was this woman during the Tang Dynasty that had the sword. And we've only heard her story because we only know about the Zhang family so far.
Right. And we know that the blessing was put on that sword. At least to me, it seemed that the blessing was put on the sword before any of those wars even began, because none of the soldiers that were defending the village could actually keep the village. It took this woman coming out by herself and this sword to beat back the attacking army, and she ended up training other women in the village to also be able to wield weapons and to protect that village. So there's a reason why we're told these little elements. It's gonna weave together somehow, and I'm wondering where all the rest of these weapons are, and more importantly, what the weapons are, because I think those are very significant to the culture and the lore also.
Definitely. And I'm hoping in episode 4 we'll get a little flashback of where she got those hook swords, the dual hook swords.
I think I might actually watch episode 4 when we're done.
I'm actually gonna watch it tonight. I was just about to say, because the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, well, 4 might answer.
I have questions.
I have questions.
I need answers.
Loyal one T. I have questions.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm really interested in that. And like I said, it would be interesting if one of the weapons was like a fan, something that doesn't usually seem like a weapon, but that can be
something unassuming. Yeah.
Unassuming, exactly. And I also wonder if one of them, I don't know, was a hat or something that you're just like, what? It would be interesting.
We know what Kung Lao can do with a hat. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. There is magic involved here, so.
Yeah, but exactly, because they've made this a mystic show, the possibilities for theories, I think, has been really opened up, and that's what makes me really excited about this show. Because I feel like the more we learn about the lore of the 8 families, the more possibilities. What if we already, other than Nikki, what if we've already met someone else? What if Henry, who we think is sus, is actually one of the 8 families?
Henry is either absolutely part of one of the 8 families, or it's going to be a twist and he is somehow related to Jilan and
Paling.
Paling. I keep mispronouncing that.
It's totally fine. Trust me, it's fine. If we were talking about any other culture other than Chinese, I'd be like, I don't know how to pronounce that.
No, well, see, and that's the thing. Again, that's why I asked you to go through this run with me, because I know you have those answers. I mean, culture is something that's just very important to me. Being a non-American, and having to go through the INS process. I very much appreciate my West Indian heritage. When I was in the hospital, I actually met one of the attendees that was assigned to my floor. She said everyone basically calls her Tracy. That is not the name that was on her name tag, but that's what she said to call her, so that's what I called her. And we got to talking. I was telling her, a little bit about my family. She was telling me about hers, and I think I had left, and then I had to come back for something. I was after 2 days. She was like, "Do you remember me?" I said, "Yeah, you're Tracy." I said, "Actually, no, I had read her name tag because I forgot what she said to call her Tracy." And I said, it's Teresa. He was like, "Well, actually, it's pronounced Teresa." Because while she looked like an average Black woman, very, very much like me, her grandmother was Spanish, and her grandmother is who named her. And I said, "Well, can I call you the name your grandma gave you? Because culture is very important to me." And she didn't understand why until I told her that my family is from South America. Yeah. And she said, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And she says that when she was a child, mixed kids are always fucked with hard on all sides. And she started going by Tracy because that was easier for everyone to say. And she said she didn't appreciate the culture, especially with the pronunciation of her name that her grandmother gave her, until she was much older. And I said, I totally get what you're saying, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. I'm going to call you Teresa until I check out of this hospital.
Yeah, and I have a lot of Asian American friends who, I met them in Chinese class, and they were like, I ignored my parents would speak Chinese to me, and I would just speak back in English, or I would ignore them until they spoke to me in English.
Yeah.
And now I realized I want to learn more, and I really appreciate that. And I really envy that as someone who is extremely white on both sides. It's literally like English and Scottish, and that's it. Like, I don't really have a heritage to go back to.
That's culture in itself, though.
It is,
really,
but it is also that, that's why it's. And we were talking about this actually before we started the stream, of people wanting what they don't have. I was talking about how white people want to be tan, and so there's also this, wanting something they don't have, and that then my Asian American friends wanted to divorce themselves from that culture, right? They wanted something that they actually envied me, and I envied them. So I think like
some things you have to grow to understand.
Exactly. And I think that actually Nikki's kind of journey is a lot of that, is accepting that her parents have sacrificed a lot to get her there, and even though she is American, in the end, she has this spiritual connection to Kung Fu that she doesn't understand yet, but she's going to, I think.
Yes.
By the end of the season, we're going to have her, not necessarily, she doesn't have to be a fully realized Kung Fu Shifu, but she's going to get to a point where she realizes, I can be both. I can be an American and an Asian.
The duality with her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's that balance of yin and yang that is so important in Chinese culture. Yep. Where in the balance that I think Pei-Ling was trying to teach her, which is that you don't want to reject your family and reject your life in America, but at the same time, when you return to America, you don't want to reject your time that you had in China. And so I think that's really what Nikki's whole Kung Fu experience is about realizing all of these lessons she's been taught as a child matter in the world, right? It matters that she cares about her community, and it matters that she wants to help people. And it also matters, I think, that, and actually I would say that the third episode had a very anti-capitalist bend, which I really enjoyed, this kind of anti-King Kwong thing. And actually when I first saw it, I thought that the CEO was kind of a tool. And I was like, this guy needs to wake up. Like, he seriously does not.
That's the thing. That's what happens when you grow up with people that you go into business with. They were best friends growing up. Like, I don't even think he ever called him his name. He called him. He did once, introducing him to Nikki to talk to him about the Faye issue and starting the union. Any other time, I think, what did he call him? Like Broasaurus or something randomly dumb like that.
Yeah.
So he, of course, isn't going to think that his best friend is going to be mistreating his workers like that, especially with the upbringing that he's had. In his mind, no, my employees are very happy and all of them are taken care of because that's what's supposed to be happening. He's living the life. He is, again, the face of the company. He's the one coming up with all of the ideas and the designs. That's his shtick. All of the inside background work, and it turns out dirty dealing background work, is something that he did not know about. He didn't know how to even spot that because it would never occur to him that his best friend would fuck over his people like that.
Exactly. And his naivete is not necessarily bad because it comes across as being genuine to his consumers, right?
Yeah.
To his customers.
He was genuinely surprised when he found out. Like, the look on his face was pure devastation. Like, bro, how the fuck could you do that?
Yeah. And I think they presented it to us. I think what the showrunners wanted us to think was different from what I thought. And I think, AK, you're kind of the same way. And that I found the CEO is like definitely not in on it, and the COO as sus.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they wanted us to
didn't need to hear that
the other
confession.
way around.
I did not need to hear that confession to know that at all. As soon as, like I said, as soon as he started talking, he looked and sounded shady as fuck and suspect as hell. And when we found the proof, I said, yep, I knew it.
And I think that
like a fiddle.
Exactly. And I think they tried to present it as when he said, oh, I'm a money guy, but I'm a union man. We're like, I believe you. And then it must be this King Kwong guy who's like bad. But like, that actually is not at all how I read that whole scene. I
never thought that what is his actual name? Eric. I think his name is actually Eric, maybe. But either way, he really did seem like he was genuine in everything that he said to Nikki, and he didn't try to like brush her off by introducing her to the COO. That's literally part of the COO's job. So
take care of things.
You send them to the person that's supposed to take care of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I also think that he had this positive energy about him that he thought that the company represented, and then when he found out that's not in practice what was happening, he seemed really devastated.
He was devastated, and he corrected it right away.
Yeah.
And not only did his boy get arrested, he absolutely was fired, cut off from the company. And I'm really hoping that
this actually comes around. I'm hoping that in one of the later episodes, she needs a favor from him or something, and he helps her, because I actually really like him as a character. Because he's the example of the Asian, like, I think they said out of Oakland, too, which, you know, viewers, you may not quite get it, but, like, Oakland also tends to be lower class, particularly diverse, especially Black people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different story from San Francisco. So for him to come from Oakland and be this San Francisco success story, in and of itself, is a big deal. And it's also a commentary on him bringing. You know, I sound like I'm just quoting Mulan constantly, but him bringing honor to the community, right?
Yeah.
And
I guarantee you that was exactly what was in his mind because of the way his parents raised them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
so our characters are very
kind of absolutely, and he had this kind of idea of service and of representation that obviously his white colleague would not have, just because of different. Although they both grew up poor, you know, at least lower middle class.
But there's still a level of privilege that his partner
absolutely.
And
you know, I very strongly as a white person will go up to any hill and scream about privilege. Like, we have it. It's here. Even as a woman, I'm still white. So I still have it. You know, I can walk, you know, home at 3 a.m. at night and not get stopped by a cop and ask where I'm going and what I'm doing if I belong in this neighborhood. So, you know, I think that was a really interesting, it's very subtle, but it also is a little bit of a commentary on privilege. Whereas you have this white guy going, if I wouldn't have come in and helped this Asian kid, then we wouldn't have gotten to this level. It's like, ooh, honey, how about you?
He thought he was doing his friend a favor.
And I wanted to be a Kendrick Lamar and be like, bitch, be humble, sit down.
Without him, you would be nowhere.
Yeah.
Again,
exactly.
He's the brains of the operation. And he's the one that came up with these designs that people want to own.
Absolutely. It's a classic example of projection. He was projecting his own insecurities. Like, oh, he needs me when actually you need him, you know?
You see, you know when I really knew he was a little bitch, though? when Nikki was in his office and she broke into the locked trash can and she saw all of the flyers that supposedly the petitions that supposedly he fast tracked into getting passed. No, he came down and he said, what the hell are you doing? Any person that was in that situation that actually had some balls, it wouldn't have been no talking. He would just went in there, fisticuffs or feet. He would have lost, but he would have gone in there a lot different. It wouldn't have been, I need to run out the room and lock her in here. And not only that, but he pulled a shelf down in front of her to make sure that while he was trying to lock the door, she couldn't get to him. That's how scared he was. And when he pulled out his phone, he's like hyperventilating, like, oh my God, I got a problem.
And bitch needed a hitman to do his dirty work, which I like that Nikki pointed out, where it's like, you think you're so badass, you needed to call this hitman. And that scene, AK, where she was remembering Paling, like, okay, every episode needs at least one, if not three, Paling flashbacks.
Yes.
Here it is right now, gavel, I'm saying it right now. More Paling all day, every day. Because
all
she had
of
that.
Her advice.
She had that. Yes, she had that light, this idea of slow down, Nikki. Right? And so she kept doing these like, motions of like slow down, and she can't get it. It's like what?
It's like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill when she has to learn how to walk and move her feet again.
Yes.
She sits there, she settles.
And it's
let's
one
start
toe.
Small. Wiggle your big toe.
Wiggle your big toe.
And yeah, it took a few hours, but eventually she walked right the hell out of that truck.
Absolutely.
And went about her business.
Oh,
that is exactly the process that
one of my favorite movies is Kill Bill Volume 1. Kill Bill Volume 2 is good too, but I love Kill Bill Volume 1. But yeah, you have this idea of take it slow, and that's the way that you will have, because that's the thing is also about martial arts it's about putting the whole energy chi, if we want to be specific, the whole chi in your body to a single point in your, in your body, which in this case would be the back of her hand. She's trying to hit
in that fight. Right? Yep.
And she's trying to hit through this door. And, that's the thing, is that she keeps rushing it, and she's not collecting the chi at the slow pace that needs to be done. So, if you want to put it in Jedi terms, she's trying to rush the Force instead of allowing the Force to move at its own pace.
Yeah. That 100%.
And that was just a really great scene, and I really liked that. And I was really like, I'll say,
that woman comes on the screen, you're going to hear some real wisdom.
Oh yeah, anytime Payling's on, and I'll be honest, AK, when you asked me to do this, I was like, all right, let me get out my notes about Orientalism. I thought I was going to be talking about Orientalism the whole time, but my God, they have done
they do it for you.
Class, yeah. like they're. They
are getting it.
None of it to me feels tropey. None of it feels like
except for the love triangle thing.
The love triangle, yeah, is tropey. Yeah. But I'm talking like Orientalist tropes where it's like, you have Asian people with broken English, and you have the wax on, wax off. I didn't
There's none of that.
It has Asian American actors that are playing roles that you feel for, and they're not stereotypes. And I think that
they are playing real people that I'm sure I could meet walking in San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's one of the things that I really have to applaud the show for so far in these first 3 episodes, is that it is about people who happen to be Chinese American, not about Chinese Americans, right? And it's in at their essence and at their core, they're people with problems and they're trying to help each other, and they're trying to love each other in a situation that's difficult, right? Her being gone for that long, there's all this hurt there, and there needs to be a lot of healing, especially with her little brother, right?
Yes.
When he says, "You were my ally," right? It sounds like she was the first one that he came out to.
She was. I think she was the first one, and she also gave him all of the strength he needed.
That you came out to first, that person is.
And you always remember their reaction. Yes. More importantly, and she did nothing but support him and love him more, and did not try to rush him to do anything. She kept the secret and let him do his thing in his own time. But the thing about it is the fear of the situation, and it's a very valid fear for anyone that has to come to terms like that with a family that's steeped in a certain type of culture.
Absolutely.
And him having to go through that and tell his parents by himself. I mean, I'm sure him and Althea were still close, but neither one of them to the other is Nikki. Yeah. Absolutely. Like I said, younger siblings will always depend on their older siblings, whether they want to admit that when they are children or not.
And he looked up to Nikki in a way that he doesn't look up to Althea too.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's why, they like to say she's the golden child. No, she was just the one that was born, and she took on those firstborn responsibilities. And it sounds like she was very good at those responsibilities.
Absolutely.
So
which is why it was such a loss when she left.
Yeah, he was devastated. And when they finally have that talk, that's what he says. You left me without an ally, and as soon as he said ally, I was like, oh,
exactly
shit,
what
that makes all the sense. Yeah. I get it now. I get it why he's like that now.
Yeah,
and more importantly, you left me alone.
Yeah, and
your baby brother needed you, and you were not there.
Oh my God, that gets me every time. And speaking of someone shout out to my best friend since middle school, Jenna. She was the first person I came out to, which I haven't actually been out that long. For a thirsty bi girl, I know you're surprised, AK. I've only been out for 3 years. And
no, not surprising at all, actually.
Coming out,
but that's just because I've gotten to know your demeanor, so I can assess that.
I'm making up for all those years of thirst for women, in these past 3 years. But when I came out to my friend,
the bill always comes due.
It does. And my parents are extremely liberal, and I knew they'd accept me, and I was still afraid. So I can't imagine Ryan being afraid of these quite traditional, even though they've moved to America, parents. And so you have this feeling of I'm still their daughter. I'm still their son. I'm still their non-binary child, right? And yet they're going to look at me differently, right? I love my parents, but in the end, even though I am dating a man, technically tomorrow I could break up with him and get with a woman. Like, that is a possibility. And like my
valid.
parents know that. And so it's always this kind of like sinking feeling in your stomach, you know, that it's just like one day they might think I'm just a little too queer, you know, and just maybe not, maybe they feel like they accepted me, but it wasn't what they thought it was. Right.
And you can tell that when you look at where Ryan goes to meet with his boyfriend. It is nowhere in their actual community. It's nowhere in their neighborhood. So it's to imagine being a kid coming up around that.
His parents or anyone who knows his parents.
No, and no one in their community is going to be at that bar except like his sisters. That's it. So that's a comfort zone that he had to find, and he knew he had to find that outside of his community because his older sister was not there to help keep him grounded. Yeah. When it happened.
And there was that small line, AK, I don't know if you noticed it, where she's like, let's go to this burrito place. And he's like, it closed last year. There's this idea of we need to make new routines, right? We need to make new things.
That's where she got the idea of starting the game over with her dad.
Exactly.
And I think
very thematically important.
Yeah, that came very well together in that sequence of events. You know, and when she went to him that day, he was still giving her attitude, rightfully so. I understand his feelings. They went to play ping pong because that was one of the things that they always did where they could talk and just be themselves together. And then, you know, that's when all the words came out. And she comes back, let's do this. Let's go get tacos. And no. Do you see the line of people outside my door? I have to attend them, and that place closed last year. Like, he let her get out whatever words she wanted to say and then just shut him down. Shut it down, and he went back to business. And it took just that little bit of kickback to draw in from the past for them to finally move past that and start talking so they could move forward.
I think also that line about look at all what I've had to do. It's also about Nikki recognizing that her kid brother is a man now. He's a little
and not only a man now. He's a big dude. In the community, you know, his name and his skill holds a lot of weight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he is very well respected.
Yeah.
So and all older siblings are still forever going to see their younger siblings or younger cousins as just that. That's my baby brother. That's my baby sister. It doesn't matter. And you saw it with Sam and Sarah on The Winter Soldier. It doesn't matter the age. I got you. If something goes wrong, I will stand beside you. I will have your back. I will stand in front of you if necessary.
Absolutely.
And again, I applaud the sibling dynamic because that's how all three of these kids operate, even with having the issues that they have with each other. When they need to come together, all beef is squashed and we're going on a team hunt. All right, tag it in. Let's go. We'll get back to the drama later.
And I'm calling it right now. Shun family. Already, like, to me, one of the best TV families, like, right now going on. Like, I really feel their dynamic, and I feel like they all have, even if I don't like what they're doing, I understand why they're doing it. And that's, for me,
the motivations really make sense.
Exactly. And that's a hard balance a lot of the times, you know, and I'm a huge fan of the CW, but a lot of times the characters are very shallow. They're very archetypal. They're very tropey. And I think that the CW is really, really trying to do something that highlights Asian American talent and at the same time highlights humanity. And I think that's what they're trying to get to. And I think so far, they are definitely headed that way with these first 3 episodes.
Yeah, and I think to figure out what shit on the CW, I think that's what they were doing also with Black Lightning. Yes. And what they tried to do with Batwoman, but that didn't really work out too well. Yeah, so they're actually rebooting that franchise now, I believe. Yes,
actually, I've been watching it the second season. I don't know. You check it out, AK. Let me know what you think. I think the second season is on point, in my opinion. I like it. It's nice to see a woman of color. And she's also queer, just like the other Batwoman was. Yeah, which is sad to see that.
The thing that gets me sometimes with the comic book community is folks that are into these shows, kung fu dancing. Shut up,
Everybody loves kung fu dancing.
When it comes to some of these
Intro.
characters,
Hi, Intro. Good to see you, buddy.
They think that a character being gay or bi or like on any level of the spectrum is that SJW bull crap, blah blah blah. If you look at the source material, these people were already in that life. So
they're wearing
your negative nonsense.
They're already queer.
So it's like even better example, the Hunger Games. When the Hunger Games first came out, there was such backlash over I think it was Lenny Kravitz and the girl, the young girl that got murdered in the sector because those two characters were black. They were cast. They were portrayed by a black man and a young black girl. For all of you assholes that are all uppity about this nonsense, they're described exactly like that in the book. And the typical response that I would see in the comments on these different posts is, well, that's just not how I pictured them in my head. I don't give a fuck how you pictured them. That's one of the reasons I had such an issue when Harry Potter came out and took them damn near 4 or 5 movies to get Angelina characters right.
Yeah.
Like come on, man. If you're actually gonna do a thing and do it right. Otherwise, if you do get criticized for it, then that's your fault. So the realism, we suspend our disbelief for a lot of shows. We're supposed to, but you can still bring realism.
When the Valerian thing came out, I was like, none of these people exist. Get over yourself. Get over yourself.
Why you really trying to argue over this fictional character? You mad because Starfire is being portrayed by a black woman? You mad because Ariel is being portrayed by a black woman?
She's an alien, so she can be, and literally her sister's named Blackfyre. I think she can be black. Bruh. Oh my god! I cannot with this. I cannot with it.
It's the ridiculousness that is so overdone and overdone.
Why are you so invested? And they always go back to the source material, the blah blah blah, and it's like no. Because you're being racist. Just say it. I will say right now, cards on the table, he's dead, but my paternal grandfather said he was racist, and I respect him for that. At least you said it. I'm tired of these people that won't fucking say it. Like, I'm done.
Keyboard warriors, that's what ends up happening.
Anyway.
But, yeah. Anyways, though, seriously, all of that big ball of everything that me and Amy just said, we catch all of those nodes from just 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So I am very much looking forward. And these are the building block episodes. There's not even really that big of extra that's going on yet.
I know. And this is I actually think, I disagree with all the reviewers I've read that are like, oh, the pacing is weird. Like, it's kind of off topic. I cannot wait. Like, I love talking to you, AK, but I cannot wait to end the stream and watch the 4th episode tonight. Like, I'm so excited to see what happens next.
I need to grab another beer, and I am clicking play. It's already queued up in my VLC player.
But the themes are there, right? The themes of family, the themes of protection, the themes of lineage that come along with these 8 families that are meant to protect these weapons, right? There's so much going on that I think is being set up in these first 3 episodes that I am so excited to see the payoff.
How it plays out,
if the payoff doesn't happen exactly how I want it, I'm still really excited to see what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be a very fun ride, and I am going to thoroughly enjoy it. The binge is on.
Yeah, and those of you watching, if you have not seen it, seriously, this show is worth your time. Look, CW, I get it. If you're not a DC fan like me, you're like, I don't want to watch The Flash. I don't want to watch Supergirl, DC Legends, which you should watch all of those, by the way. But even if you're never seen a CW show in your life, Kung Fu is worth your time, and it just started. You're only 4 episodes in. Yeah. Please watch it.
And also, sidebar for the CW, the DC TV universe is way better put together than the DCEU. So I'm just saying, if you're looking for continuity done decently, properly, go watch the CW shows.
When you're watching The Flash, anytime that it's just Barry and his wife, Iris West, anytime they sit down together, go ahead and skip ahead because it's just going to be them talking about their feelings. But otherwise, Great show. And DC Legends actually is a satire on the DC franchise in general. That's why it's so funny. It's like the B characters from every show of them, like Arrow, The Flash, Supergirl coming together and just being crazy. And like, it's just, I love the CW.
And they're all being led.
Yes.
Which in Legends, they're all being led by a time traveler who just so happened to be one of the stars on Doctor Who. Like, it was perfect.
Yes.
To get him in there.
Yes. And that's exactly the thing is, like, I love the CW because it gives into the campiness. It gives into the insane, crazy, like our Reflective Rambling was saying earlier, the glove triangles. Like, they give into the tropes. And I like a show or a movie that is just unapologetically itself. And that's kind of what CW shows are like. They don't pretend to be some fancy art. Look, they are here as young adult fiction, and me as someone who's almost 30, I'm still going to watch and enjoy. So, like, I am the perfect target audience for the CW. They got me early in my teens, and I will never stop watching the CW.
Yeah, the only reason why I started Flash so late in the game, honestly, is because I was such a Glee fan. And I was a very big fan of the character Blaine. And Grant Gustafson, who plays Barry on the Flash show, was Sebastian, who was the head of a rival choir. And he was a fucked up individual. And I found myself wanting to punch him in the face. And I was like, oh, that's Flash. Yeah, okay, I can't. I'm just going to be thinking about Sebastian, and it's going to make me hate it. So I waited to get over that. And then I started watching, especially once they started doing the crossovers. I love a good crossover.
I love the crossovers. Like, what was the Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Yes.
Oh my God, I died for that.
I had not watched episodes of maybe 4 of those shows, but I still understood everything that was going on because I kept up with people that were reviewing on Tumblr.
Exactly. And no, that's the thing is, like, it's not as so complicated that, like, the DC TV show, you can catch up pretty quickly. And I will say, Grant Gustin, another anecdote from when I was in Vancouver, Grant Gustin, I literally went to a restaurant at 5 p.m. And then I went back to my dorm because I was there for I was basically for summer school about Chinese Buddhism because I'm super, whatever. I'm so chill and, like, academic like that. Anyway, it was also all in Mandarin Chinese, so if I could brag a little bit. But they, like, I was there at 5, and then I looked at his Instagram at 7 p.m., and he was in the same restaurant. I missed him by 2 hours. Grant Gustin, and I know he's married. That doesn't mean he doesn't need a third. I'm just saying, like, call me Grant Gustin.
All right,
so into you.
With all of that in your ear, if you have not watched Kung Fu yet, please go ahead and watch it. Amy, where can the folks find you next?
Yes, so you can find me at Aemy Blackfyre. That's AEMY, Blackfyre with a Y. I am on Twitter, which is where you will see me plug the crap out of my shit that you're like, oh my God, I should unfollow this bitch. But please don't unfollow me. Please keep following me because I also post fun things, not just, what I'm doing. But yes, so I do a lot of things on my pod/YouTube channel. It's kind of gotten so diverse that I don't really know what to do with it. But I do a lot of Song of Ice and Fire, His Dark Materials, Avatar Last Airbender stuff. I'm randomly going to start doing Degrassi stuff as well because I just love it so much. But, like, literally anything nerd or anything that interests me, I'm going to do. So please, oh yeah, I know, Constantine. But please check that out. Also, I am on a movie podcast called Cinematic Realm. So please search that. Me and my good friend, John Webster, we talk about movies. We just recorded today.
Shout out to J-Dubs.
Yeah, shout out to J-Dubs. We just recorded our episode on Pirates of the Caribbean, the Curse of the Black Pearl, the first one. And we just did, before that, Wizard of Oz. So we're doing some great stuff. We just transferred to a podcast, but you can still watch us on YouTube. And we have a lot of great visuals as we talk. So please check that out. So you can look it up at John Webster Film. That's JOHN. You can look at that up on YouTube, or you can search Cinematic Realms on all of your favorite podcast platforms. We just got approved for Apple Podcasts. So if you're like me and you're an Apple user, you are good to go. But yes, Aemy Blackfyre. I am on all podcast platforms, including Podbean. I have some really great guests on, and this lady over here is going to be on to talk about Dorne very soon. So please check that out. It is long overdue, AK. I'm sorry. I was planning on having you on in February, and life got in the way.
Hey, man, life does not stop for the streams.
But it was originally going to be one episode. Now we're going to make it a multi-part series on Dorne because AK and I know
Dorne deserves
the gospel of the Dorne. Because that's the thing is people will be like, okay, they'll talk about one thing about Dorne and then go on to talk about all the other kingdoms. It's my favorite kingdom. I think it is amazing and it deserves so much more. Oh, what's your first fave?
The North.
The North. All right, I could guess that.
I am a wolf.
Yes, but we're going to have a really good time. And so, yeah, I have a lot going on. So please check that out. If you're not really on Twitter, the best thing to do is subscribe to my YouTube and turn on that sweet, sweet bell so that you know when I've uploaded something or if I'm going live. So I'm really excited. Actually, May is my birthday month. Yes, I'm that one of those annoying people that takes the whole month for my birthday. And I'm going to have 4 of my friends on to talk about shows we were obsessed with during our teen years. So we're going to have a really good time talking about that. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff going on. I don't want to have to plug it all, but please just check me out on all the things. And I really, really am excited. And I love when people comment on my videos or they comment on Twitter. And actually, if I say I'm about to talk about something on Twitter and you comment with your thoughts, I might reference you in the recording that I do. So I love to shout out my people that watch and listen to me, especially Reflective Rambling, who's in the comments. She always, in the chat, she always leaves really long, detailed, wonderful comments, which I read in detail and love so much. So...
And also...
Yes! Oh, crap. It's not here. Okay, I just...
What?
Here's the thing, AK. It's in a box that's behind me that is fully taped because she's like, what? I'm so glad that you told me that you even put that up. Look, here's the thing. Okay, you stay right there. Don't move.
The one time I'm on a stream, actually on a stream with Amy, and she doesn't have the book. For goodness sake. Oh, man. But, yeah, she'll be back in a bit. Yep, there it is.
Here's the second one, the Dragon Republic. I have a signed copy.
Oh, nice.
So, yes, the Poppy War is a trilogy written by the Chinese-American author R.F. Kuang. And I am going to have an episode about... don't move. About the Poppy War with Load the Links. That's right, some LavingShadow content. It is very, very exciting. We are going to talk about femininity and particularly rejecting the feminine in the first novel, which is the Poppy War. But yes, this is the second one. I swear I have the first one, but it's in a box. I just moved from California to Chicago right now, so that's why it's kind of not. Excuses.
I suppose we'll let it slide this one
but
time.
But please check out the Poppy War. It has been greenlit for an adaptation. So it will be in some...
That's interesting.
I hope it's animated, but it might be live action. R.F. Kuang herself said that she would like it to be a more adult version of Avatar: The Last Airbender, as in animated, and I would be here for it. The budget would also be a lot more workable if you did that, but that's just me. But yes, it's got magic, it's got martial arts, and it's got one of those great, like, kind of ideas. You know, you have a lot of gray area characters, which is my favorite when it comes to fiction. So yes, please. The Poppy War. Check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, Dragons, Opium, and a Republic. How can you go
Republic?
Wrong? Yeah. And yes, I will. I'm very excited that I have this signed copy that I paid like $15 extra for, and it was worth every penny.
That's so cool.
I know. I'm really, and it's a hardback too, which is like.
Yeah, I tend, even though they're heavier to move, I tend to always go for a hardback.
If it's available in hardback, I get it. But yeah, and I'm glad I also have the ebook version of the first one, which is I'm glad I have because I apparently bought one of the books in a bad batch of the Poppy War. It's missing 40 pages. Yes, that's actually the whole plot is that dragons OD out of. But yes, the Poppy War, I'm very excited. I'm trying to get everyone I can to read it. I actually did a poll on Twitter a couple weeks ago to be like, have you read it? And one of them was like, don't tell me what to do. And a couple people picked that. But I was actually surprised to see quite a few people said they had read it on my recommendation. So including Reflective Rambling. So I'm very, very excited for that.
Nice.
So yes.
That is awesome.
AK knows that I'm basically addicted to telling people about the Poppy War. So.
Mm-hmm. And I'm here for it. That like one of my old neighbors, we're very very good friends while we lived next to each other. He would always say, "Your mutant superpower is getting people hooked on shit." Like I legit got a bunch of random straight boys to fully be invested in watching the L Word with me.
Oh my god, the L Word
on Sundays.
I should have known I wasn't straight when I was in high school and I was.
Wow, if you can't get past the L Word without having a crush on either Bet, Shane, or Carmen, something's wrong with you.
Carmen. I'm sorry, what?
Girl, I understand. Yeah.
Got some feelings there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Sarah Shahi. Well, her Hollywood name is Sarah Shahi. That is who played Carmen. And boy. That dance that she did for Shane.
Oh my god.
Before they went to go meet the family, the fucking lingerie this woman had on.
Was she in the scene where they had the like Too Hot game?
Yes, that was her. She's the one that challenged Shane to Too Hot. Yeah.
That gets me every time.
Every time. You know what? When it comes to really good sex scenes, I feel like Shane was like 50% of that. Like, I was all for Shane and Carmen. I still would go down with that ship. But in that scene after the party that Shane got mad about that Carmen was DJing, she went and blew the fucking dust off of freaking what the hell is her name? What was it? Chrissy Jaffe, Shirley Jaffe, something. Whoever the Rosetta Arquette was playing on there. Oh boy.
It's
that
literally
scene by the
I think
pool,
the last time I can't remember. Okay, here's how long ago it was. The last time I watched the L Word, it was on a DVD that I had checked out from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
A long time ago, ma'am.
I need to do. I'm definitely like rewatch is in order for sure.
Yeah, because now that I think about it, it's been a while since I've watched any of those episodes, and also I didn't have time to watch the new season that they gave us for the Next Generation. So I've heard nothing but good things about it.
So. And
I did want like all of the original cast to come back, but it was just Bet, Shane, and Alice. I think it was Bet, Shane, and Alice that came back. Yeah, that was actually the L Word series was what triggers in my mind as like the first time I really started paying attention to Holland Taylor as an actress. And she, for you guys that don't know, she played the mom on 2.5 Men back in the day, and she is hilarious.
Yeah, really good
absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. I was really into 2.5 Men when it was airing too.
When it was good.
Yeah. Look, like I know that
L Word dorm, the comparisons to be made in that statement.
Okay, I think I need to do a rewatch of the L Word before we do our Dorn episode, AK, so we can just go all out.
I don't even need to binge the whole thing. I'm pretty sure I can go on YouTube and find all of like Shane's scenes cut together. Shane is the epitome of Dorn.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, Shane looks a lot like a girl I had a crush on in high school. And now a lot of things make sense.
I had a thing for Kate Monig. That's who plays Shane. I had a thing for a little while for her. Shane was just that chick.
I was so good at being in the closet. Like, how did I not figure that out? It's almost insulting at this point.
It is a process. It is a process. Really is. Everyone comes to it in their own. But yeah, folks, so y'all, please go check out Aemy. The link to her channel is in the description. And from there, you can also find the other links for her content. I think we will be back probably within the next 2 weeks or so, maybe, depending on schedules and how that's going to go with the next couple of episodes.
I am so excited.
Yo, Jane Lynch on that. Jane Lynch on anything. Honestly, she's great. Especially when she was Sue Sylvester on Glee. Yeah. So we'll be back here. And at some point in time, we might actually talk the L word. I don't know. But we'll put it out in the ether. And if times and schedules allowed in the future, we might get into that.
Well, I've had a rewatch on my list for a couple of years, and I feel like I just gonna have to do that. So,
word.
I need to go ahead. L word.
Make sure to click that bell when you sub to Aemy. I am pretty sure myself, Lauren, and Meeks will definitely be back to converse about some TV show in the future. You know, I'm so glad I was able to meet Meeks.
You guys are a great trio. I love it so much.
Addition, yes, I very much appreciate having her insight.
Oh
and
my God, when Meeks said the thing
just
about
melds.
not one-season chicken today, I almost fell off.
Meeks is
also,
hilarious.
thank
Please
you, Celebrity
go check
Bikini.
Meeks out.
I just got that you subbed. Thank you. It's
that's awesome.
A live thanks.
That is absolutely awesome.
You're the best.
All right, yeah, you guys go check out all of her things.
You guys are awesome. I think
I'll be back.
Maybe already subbed if I remember right. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. I will be back. At some point. Just stay tuned. And,
yes, and AK will be on my channel very soon. I promise. If not in May, then in July, because the whole getting married thing in June.
The lady's getting married. Yeah, she needs some time off. So yeah, we will catch you guys in the next one. Stay well and please stay safe. Peace.